in the immortal words of Judy Brown, happiness is a choice. We're happy to spend some time with us, Chip and Zay, on a wild and woolly Wednesday, right here on Texas Sports Unfiltered. Zay, what's going on, my man?
What up, dog? Happy Wednesday, everybody. Hump day. Feeling good, feeling great. Chip, how are you?
Hey, man. We are T-minus 17 days from Texas, Ohio State. And what? 10 days from the start of the college football season. Love that. And, you know, we love talking a little football. I mean, it's going to be a whole lot better when we get to watch it and then talk about it. But obviously, a lot of excitement in the air with regard to the Longhorns. I just got done writing about the depth of this football team, Zay.
Okay.
Where do you think Texas is the deepest? What position, and what position do you feel like they are not the deepest?
The deepest, I would say the secondary. Where they're not, I would say the offensive line. And I don't know if I would have said the same thing depending on Andre Kojo being healthy, but the fact that you no longer have him for the 2025 season, that room got a lot thinner. And I think Kyle Flood and Steve Sarkisian have done terrific jobs of keeping the pancake factory, having guys not transfer out or move on to places that might be greener on the other side to some, and having all those offensive linemen, those big humans, as Steve Sarkisian likes to call them, still present and locked in and believing in the culture. So I do think that it can be deep, but right now on paper, we have no idea what even Cole Hudson, as good as he's going to be, or as good as he's been, he's playing a brand new position at that center spot. And he might be the best option, but that's a lot. You're going up against some nasty big guys in the SEC. And Jake Majors, as good as he was, he had his struggles at times, along with Hayden Connor, DJ Campbell. Some of those guys struggled, Cam Williams. So how will that offensive line be if somebody were to go down? Like, I think if DJ Campbell, knock on wood, God forbid, DJ Campbell were to go down, that would not be good at all. So offensive line for me, I think that's probably the area I'll focus on for least when it comes to how deep this team is. But I still think the offensive line is going to be a really good ball club, especially when you have a very deep running back room where I think, depending on the day, Chip, you can make that number one. You know what I'm saying? What up, Michael? Appreciate you, bro.
Appreciate you, Michael. Yeah. I mean, look, depth is measured in how big of a drop-off you have from your starter to whoever's coming in for that player. And if you look at the quarterback room, I still think Trey Owens is a gamer. I think he shows up when he has to. I get it. You want to be great every day in practice. That's great. And look, I thought Jonathan Brooks was going to be the starter at running back in 23. And he wasn't. Then he ended up being, but you know, maybe I have more faith in Trey Owens than Steve Sarkisian, or maybe Steve Sarkisian's just trying to keep the competition going, keep pushing Trey Owens. And it does sound like they did a good job in evaluating Matthew Caldwell and selling him on coming to Texas as a guy who, hey, you're going to get the chance to battle to be one play away. And we've only had one season in the last 14 where we didn't have to play a backup quarterback. And you're going to get some Steve Sarkisian coaching. Steve Sarkisian had a quarterback who never started a game get drafted, Matt Castle at USC. So in hindsight, it was a good move, I think, to bring in Matthew Caldwell. But is Arch Manning going to, be electrifying? Maybe. I think he sure will be in a bunch of games this season. But can you survive without Arch Manning? You can survive. Can you reach your goals without Arch Manning?
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned Cardell Jones the other day. Cardell Jones, what was he, the third string?
Yeah, third string.
Third string led his team to a national championship. Like, he was crazy as hell. And, you can't recognize Cardell Jones now from what he used to be, but salute him. That dude did that thing. To say one of these backups, Cardwell or Trey Owens, could do that, but as good as this roster is as a whole, that's tough. That's tough to say. I don't know if you've seen it yet, but SEC Network, that crew, Feinbaum and all those guys, they had like a little promo that just came out saying, "Is Manning ready?" And they're all going through why he's ready and why he's going to be amazing. And Feinbaum was like, he's going to be one of the most electrifying, dynamic players we've seen in the last decade. And it's just like, good grief, this is heavy. I get it. You got to put fans in the stands. You got to get those views and likes. So I understand the game. I'm a part of the game. When our views are up, we popping. Texas Sports Unfiltered, from the bottom up. We've got more and more attention as the weeks, days, months have gone by, and we love it. Trust me, I understand the game. But also, you look at that and you're just like, man, this is nuts what this Texas team, Arch Manning, Steve Sarkisian, are going to have to go through to win a natty this year. Like, no one's had a magnifying glass no one's had just the attention that this Texas team's going to have and face every game, every snap, every play. It's just, I am trying to say, yeah, they could just deal with it. They could just go through it. This ain't no biggie. You can't pay attention to all that. They got Ant Hill. They got Michael Taft. You know what I'm saying? They got DeAndre Moore. They got leadership in that locker room to where you ain't going to trip at all about the pressure. But can everybody be like that? Can everybody stay that locked in? Including obvious Arch Manning. So I'm just trying to I get on that high where I'm like, man, this team's going to be so cold. This team, to what my man Quincy's saying, running up the scope. 40 a game, 45. Putting 50 balls on teams to where, who do we stop, coach? Defensive coordinator on the other side, throwing his headset, cussing out players, just confused. Sark just dialing it up to a T. But then I'm also like, man, these teams are good out here. Ohio State's going to be good. A&M wants that get back. Going to Athens is going to be rough. The Swamp's a brutal place. John Mateer is supposed to beat John Elway. This ain't going to be no cakewalk. This ain't going to be no walk in the park. It's going to be a tough season, however you shape it. So that's That's what's so intriguing about this squad, man. And my popcorn is going to be right beside me all year long. It's fun to dissect. It's fun gearing up, like 17 days. Saw Dicker the Kicker film. Saw that video, him beating Oklahoma. Like
Earthquake.
That's
Dicker.
right there.
The Kicker.
That's my joint. Shout out to Dicker the Kicker, man. Legend. But yeah, it's almost about that time. Ant Hill, I got to play an Ant Hill video for you because they have my man Ant Hill mic'd up. Texas Twitter or Texas X, whatever. Ant Hill mic'd up for the Saturday scrimmage. Oh, Zero's locked in. Check it out.
I forget I'm mic'd up. Mic'd up with Anthony Hill. Ready to go today? Hey, let's go. Ubbies on 3. 1, 2, 3. Hey, let's go, D. Hey, let's get a stop. Hey, let's go execute on 3. 1, 2, 3. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. That was Marsh. Let's go, Marsh. Let's go, Marsh. Leonard, outside of him. Outside of him. Hey, my man. I got back. Man, don't hold me now. Pick right here. Pick. Hey! Let's go, Ty! Why don't we never get none of those? Like, bro, there's never been a time when I was on a football field and the ball tipped up anywhere around me. When I know Ty seen that and his eyes started lighting up. Go get a stop, Trey. Go get a stop, set the tone. Hey, third down. Hey, it's a run. Hey, let's go, D. Hey, good stop.
Come on. It's a run.
That looked like one of those goal line stops that Sark talked about yesterday or Monday, where he was like the offense drove but got stopped in the red zone. That looked like one of those plays. Ball given to Jared Gibson. We hope.
You know what I liked? I liked him blowing up Quintravian Wisner.
Yeah.
Like he's not trying to duck blocks. He is destroying blocks. And look, the part of his game he's got to improve on is dropping into coverage. And we'll see how that goes. But Anthony Hill is a wrecking machine. And look, he's a guy who's probably indispensable. No one plays like him. If someone have an Anthony Hill, he's a super hard guy to replace. So, that's going to be, him and Colin Simmons. There's not other guys like those two. So, but I think you could survive without Colin Simmons. Would you thrive like you would with Colin Simmons? Probably not. But this is, this defense is loaded. And the fact that we're talking about 6 defensive tackles being interchangeable, that's unbelievable from where they were at the end of last season. Most of the depth issues are on the offensive side. Offensive line, quarterback, and then kicker and punter, man. Nothing can happen to Mason Shipley and nothing can happen to Jack Bowmeister. So let's keep those guys out of the fray. But here's something that I'm paying attention to. Texas averaged 33 points per game last year. That's the lowest of the 4 seasons under Sarkisian. The highest was in 2023 when they averaged 35.8 points per game. In the 4 years that Sarkisian's been calling the offense, Texas has averaged 34.7 points per game. It's a tough schedule. You're playing Ohio State, playing at Florida, you're playing Georgia, you're playing A&M. You're looking at that schedule. You're looking at some of these defenses. Will Texas finish higher or lower than 34.7 points per game in 2025? Zay?
I'll say lower.
Collier?
Yeah, I'll say lower. You know,
Okay.
I was hyping up scoring 40 a game. That would be ideal. But I think that this offensive line at times will be a work in progress. I still think they could be insanely good and definitely national championship worthy. Arch Manning, same with him. I think he's going to go through his ups and downs, still just being an inexperienced quarterback, going through, like you said, this very gauntlet, grueling schedule. I think you're going to have to rely, I talked about it yesterday on the show, you're going to have to rely on the experienced guys coming through for you. DeAndre Moore, Travian Wisner, Ryan Wingo, throw Jack Injuries in the mix. He's played a lot of football. Hopefully Emmett Mosley the fifth could come along and really buy into this offense for Steve Sarkisian. But, you know, I still think they could average 30 a game. That's solid. With how good I expect this defense to be, I'll take that. I'll take that. You know what I'm saying? And then when it all clicks and comes together, hopefully December, January, when you start playing your best football and you have that ultimate comfort with one another and chemistry with one another, even though your body's going to be a little worn down due to being at that part of the season, hopefully they can finally find their stride to where Steve Sarkisian knows them inside and out, Kyle Flood, Chris Jackson, just like everybody's on the same page to find out what this team does at their best because they've seen so much up to that point. So I'm banking on that. But if I were to say right now, under, what was the number you gave? 34 points a game?
34.7.
Yeah, I would say under. But 33 ain't bad. Last year's offense, really good. So the fact that last year's was one of the worst of how good Matthew Golden was, Travian Wisner going over 1,000 yards, Quinn having his good moments, Gunnar Helm being really freaking good. Like, come on. Like, you'll take that again this year.
Yeah. Yeah. It's gonna be fun to see how Wingo develops, because what's he gonna do with the additional targets? I haven't compared the targets that he got compared to Jeremiah Smith and Ryan Williams. It was a fraction, but what's Wingo going to do with those increased targets? Are we going to be talking about Ryan Wingo the same way we're talking about Jeremiah Smith and Ryan Williams toward the end of the season? Has he had that big of an impact? And, you know, DeAndre Moore, Mr. Consistency, Mr. Reliable. How's that going to go? And go ahead.
No. I'm just thinking in my head. Sorry, I look like that because I don't want to interrupt you. But you heard DeAndre Moore at the last press conference.
He wants it all, baby.
He wants it all. He greedy. He got that. Don't let, DeAndre Moore, very articulate, very thoughtful, very intelligent brother. Like, DeAndre Moore is going places. Like, you have no worries about him. I definitely think his football career is going to work out, but whatever he wants to do in life, DeAndre Moore will be just fine. Please believe me. Like the way he carries himself, he's another one of those big culture guys that are on the same helm as Michael Taft and Bijan Robinson. But the way he was talking to y'all, Chip, in the media, and the way, like, we're paying Ryan Wingo to be wide receiver 1 just because the hype he got coming out of St. Louis, like that skill set, the body, you just expect it. Let's not sleep on DeAndre Moore having that first team all SEC season like I think he's capable of. No knock to Ryan Wingo. He could definitely be what we expect him to be, which is a bona fide star, future first-round pick, Biletnikoff Award winner. But man, DeAndre Moore, he's got some juice, man. If he could stay healthy, he's got some juice. And that's what, like, he's so physical. Like, he's going to go headhunt on blocks and stuff. So much so you worry about his body a little bit, a lot like what you saw this past season. He wore down. Because it's a lot. SEC schedule, how many games Texas played, like DeAndre Moore wore down and that foot became a problem. And, you know, as good as he was, there was another level that we didn't see of DeAndre Moore due to injury in 2024. So hopefully that's not an issue here in 2025. But if he could stay healthy, oh man, that dude, tough. And him and Arch Manning, from what we've seen, the little amount of reps with Arch Manning, him and DeAndre Moore got good chemistry. He hit DeAndre Moore on some really good looks. So hopefully they could build that into this season. And yeah, I'm really excited about DeAndre Moore. I think that guy, this could be contract year. This might be one of them years where why would he come back if he puts up the numbers that he's striving out to be or striving out to have with the goals that he's set? Like, what did he say, Chip? He was like 1,200 yards, break the Texas touchdown record. He said something else too. Y'all gonna have to remind me on the chat or something like that. And he didn't sound crazy.
No.
Like, you believed him when he said it, the way that, you know, just because he has an aura and glow to him where you're like, oh, this brother, he is serious and he ain't BSing no one. Like, this could be facts here. And you got to be excited for that if you're Chris Jackson and Steve Sarkisian.
Okay, here are the numbers. So Jeremiah Smith was targeted 105 times. He caught 76 passes. That is a 72% completion rate, which is off the charts.
Pretty good, yeah. Pretty good.
Ryan Williams was targeted 87 times, caught 48 passes. That is a completion rate of 55.2%, which is excellent. I mean, you'd love to be at 60%. Ryan Wingo got targeted 55 times, caught 29 passes, 52.7%. DeAndre Moore targeted 59 times, caught 39, completion rate of 66.1%, which you will take. You want to be at 60%, anything higher than 60%. That's great news. That's working. Jeremiah Smith at 72.4%.
Yeah. And I think Ryan Williams, kind of like with DeAndre Moore, with this like slight frame, which obviously he's going to get bigger as the years go on, but I think he wore down. Jeremiah Smith didn't wear down at all. He got stronger. Where everybody else was worn down due to a rigorous schedule. When you get in that college football playoff, you feeling them bumps and bruises for real. So Jeremiah Smith, that dude's got mega freaking Tron physique. So yeah, he's different, man. He is a terrifying athlete. Like, who start comparing to him? Julio Jones? I see it.
Yeah.
I see it. Sark worked with Julio Jones closely during his days for the Falcons. So Jeremiah Smith, man.
Alan brings up a great point. This is a point that I made going into last year, that if Texas could get its red zone offense to perform at a higher rate of touchdowns than field goals, then the scoring average goes up, everything goes up. If you look at Alabama in 2020 when they won the national championship, they were closing every damn drive with touchdowns. You had Najee Harris, who was putting up PlayStation numbers. The guy ran for 1,400 yards, 20 plus rushing touchdowns, and had more than 40 receptions. Like Najee Harris, he like any other year than Devontae Smith going off, Najee Harris would have won the Heisman Trophy. But Devontae Smith went off. I mean, 1,800 yards receiving, 23 touchdown catches.
Just a joke. That year was a joke.
Remember, they gobbled up Ohio State in that national championship game. Devontae Smith had, 3 touchdown catches in the first half? And then he turned his ankle, but his final line was still ridiculous because he did all the damage in the first half.
Yeah, Slim Reaper. He's pretty good.
Pretty
Super Bowl
good.
champion.
Yeah.
that dude's life's been good. And he's still, I don't even think he's 25 yet. If he is, barely. Like that dude, he's had a very
2 national championships in college.
Like what? The game-winning catch in that first one?
Freshman?
Was a freshman? Like, you serious?
Tua?
Yeah. Heisman Trophy winner, Super Bowl champ. Yeah, Devontae Smith. Life's pretty good for that dude. And that, to what Alan's saying, appreciate you, Alan, chiming in. That's what you're worried about coming into this year, but also that's what Arch Manning is for. Because when Quinn Ewers was back there taking the snaps, as a defense, you didn't fear him running. Every blue moon, like in that Chick-fil-A Bowl against Arizona State, Quinn Ewers will run the ball. Or like for that 4th down, short yardage conversion to ice the game at Fayetteville last year, they put it in Quinn's hands, and it really caught the defense off guard. But most of the time, like against Ohio State, like against Oklahoma 2 years ago where they had them stopped on the goal line, they weren't fearing Quinn Ewers being a factor using his legs. So now that Arch Manning definitely is, as a defensive coordinator, you're in shambles because you have no idea where that ball's going to go. And Sark obviously has to use that to his advantage with how creative he needs to be with his play calling, because sometimes in the red zone, it gets a little bland. Like, we hate bringing this up, but it just feels valid at the time. The toss play to Contravian Wisner. Like, do you run that if Arch Manning has the ball? I'm still confused why Arch Manning wasn't even in the game then. That will always, we don't talk about that very often. Nobody got the answer. Nobody asked that question. Like, was he injured? There's always that rumor that Arch was concussed against Ohio State when he had that run. That's a rumor, but nothing ever came out of that.
Right. And Arch has said no, of course.
Okay. So
he was asked at SEC Media Days, hey, did you have a concussion in the Ohio State game? He's like, no.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay. So that makes it even more suspicious. And that's where you look back at the head coach that's getting paid $10 million a year. And you ask him, which I don't think anyone's asked yet, why wasn't Arch around? But again, that's the past. That's the past. Now he's the man. Now you can be spicy with that playbook a little bit, a little bootleg action. Get him outside the pocket, doing some things.
Doing some
Doing
things.
some things, just changing it up because they're going to be worried about 16. The versatility is there. We all know that. How is Sark going to use that? That's the biggest questions going into this season. Because Sark is a magician, quarterback whisperer. We've heard it all the cliche things out there. We've heard it all. Sark is the man. All right, here we go. This is your chance to prove it to everybody. Like, why you're that guy. There's a rumor swirling around right now saying that Texas is the new Alabama. I don't know where that came from, but this goes into, here we go again. This hype stuff is getting ridiculous. It's bonkers out here in these streets, Chip.
Ridiculous.
Losing their mind about these Texas Longhorns. And it's playing. Only helps us. Only helps you and I, Texas Sports Unfiltered. We appreciate it. Keep bringing it on. Crazy ass media. Because now folks looking at us and listening to us. So we appreciate it. Y'all keep saying all that stuff. But can they keep that big ass noise? Can they keep it quiet and in-house? They saying all the right things. Sark said it don't matter. It's irrelevant. Us being AP number one, coaches poll number one, all that's irrelevant. We don't care. It don't matter. We just had a good ass practice.
Our guys just practiced their ass off.
Practice their ass off. What we talking about?
It was awesome.
They got phones. They were getting messages and stuff. They just had their best practice after a very tough scrimmage. Like, all right, cool. I love it. Let's see it.
ESPN came out with a list of second-year players who could break out in 2025. 10, they named 10, and Brandon Baker is number 9 on the list.
Interesting.
I'm eager to watch Brandon Baker. Here's the thing. Here's my thing about Cam Williams. Cam Williams, big, strong. 335, 6'6", arms for days. But I don't think he processed incredibly quickly. And when he was injured or trying to fight through that ankle injury against Ohio State, that made it even worse. From what I'm hearing, Brandon Baker processes pretty quickly. That's going to be huge because you can't be a half second off. And you got to be able to, absorb that defensive end without panicking. And that's what I want to see. That's what I want to see because Gooseby's got that ability. Usually the guys with great feet, they don't panic because they know they can get out. They can kick step out and get where they need to be to handle that speed rusher or that speed to power guy, the guy with the dip who, if he gets beyond your hip, you're toast. And that's what I want to see from Brandon Baker, because I think from what I'm hearing, from what we've heard of, from Ethan Burke, from the guys on the defensive line, he's a technician. He's a technique freak like Kelvin Banks Jr. was. That's good news because what no one's talking about is what if this offensive line is better than last year? I've been told this year's offensive line is more athletic. That, Neto Umezulu, Cole Hudson, a little more athletic than their predecessors. Now, their predecessors were technique sound. That's right. They weren't messing up the communication. They knew how to pass things off. If there was a shift and they knew how to communicate it, all that. that's where it's going to be a work in progress. If, and that's where Brandon Baker and DJ Campbell got to be communicating like crazy, because that was a struggle last year at the beginning of the year. DJ and Cam Williams were not, and part of that was on DJ. DJ wasn't the fastest processor. That's why he didn't start as a freshman. Cole Hudson did. And, DJ's huge. If he gets his hands on you, you're done. And I think now he's comfortable with all the communication, the recognition. But what if this offensive line is better? We'll see.
That would give me a lot of confidence. I mean, I already have a lot of confidence in this squad, but that would take it to new heights, because I loved the offensive line last year. I thought that Sark might have put them in some tough situations, especially playing Cam Williams in that Ohio State game. I would have went with Trevor Gooseby, but I'm not getting paid $10 million a year. But yeah, they could be. I mean, that communication that you're talking about, like Brandon Baker, Trevor Gooseby, if those guys could put that with athleticism that they have, look out. Trevor Gooseby might be the best athlete on this team. There's videos around social media of this guy doing the 360 from starting from the free throw line, Chip. So that's not that far away. Free throw line to the goal. A lot of guys need that running start to do a 360 like dunk. Trevor Gooseby, just in a couple of big ass steps, could do it like that. Like, he's a crazy athlete. And Brandon Baker, I think he's part of that same cloth. So, yeah, I like Brandon Baker, man. If he could just get that nasty about him that Steve Sarkisian talked about, and he said, that nasty, it'll come through when you go up against guys like Ethan Burke and Colin Simmons every day. Like, you have no choice, because if you aren't nasty with those types of guys, they'll make your life hell all day long and embarrass your ass. So I that's kind of why I feel really good about this offensive line, because they're going up against dogs every single day. Hell, DJ Campbell, Neto, Cole Hudson, Mariah Watson ain't no punk. Cole Brevard ain't no scrub. All those guys, Alex January, been hearing good things about him. Like, the D tackles who are underrated, those guys, they coming on with it. So it's just iron sharpens iron situation. I think it's a stretch to say this offensive line will be better than last year's, but hey, weirder things have happened.
Yeah. We'll see. I mean, you're getting thrown into the frying pan in game one. See what you got.
Damn, CB, that's it. That's it. Just last year, like,
could be. Could be. Look, Cam Williams, where'd he get drafted?
What? Was it like last round? Eagles? Sixth round? Yeah.
Like, be smart. Make sure your money is there. Don't just go to go. I mean, we'll see. We'll see how these offensive tackles look elsewhere in the nation. Is it going to end up being a good year for offensive tackles in the draft? Or, like, if there are not many, and Gooseby's had a big year, those guys tend to go high on the board, because it's such an important position. It's like quarterback. Sometimes quarterbacks get overdrafted. We'll see. But yeah, Gooseby's got really good feet. When you get Dan Neal on talking about old Gooseby.
Yeah. And his brother's a star in basketball, high school rank. So
Yeah, Trevor said his highlight from the summer was watching his brother play basketball.
That's dope. I like that. Yeah, he
And
said he also talked to Sean Miller.
Yeah.
and Kyle Flood were like, whoa, started like, chill, bro. We good. We got the sport you need to focus on, dog. But yeah, that's why I could see him staying for another year, y'all. Because if his brother, who is a senior this year in high school, if he goes to Texas, that might be a thing that they've talked about in their families, have talked about for a long time, like going to school with each other. Because his brother could be a one and done player if everything goes right. Like his brother in basketball, he might be one of those guys.
He might be one of them ones.
He might be one of them ones, as Jalen Gilbo says. He might be one of them ones. So if his brother commits, plays for Sean Miller, and Trevor's like, you know what? I might make a lot of money, but who knows? I could be the number one pick in 2027.
Could be one of them ones.
Yeah, hang out with bro, watch bro live at the Mood, vice versa. Watch bro at DKR. That'd be dope. That'd be a cool ass story. So I would stay for that. But when that money come calling, that top 5 money, it's hard to say no to that.
Did you see the reel of Arch Manning and Hyde Manning being interviewed by Wheels?
Wheels.
Is that gettable to play?
I don't think so. It might be a clip
Wow.
that we could play.
They were like playing golf on the DKR turf. I swear, I think Wheels is having more fun than anyone doing those interviews.
Oh, Wheels is having a blast.
Wheels, of course, I don't even know what we call him now since the Texas One Fund has been morphed into the athletic department. But Patrick Wheels Smith, he's been integral to Texas's NIL efforts. And so he does this Wheelin' and Dealin' podcast where he interviews Texas athletes for his video pod. He had Arch and Hyde on. They were, making fun of the little video when they were kids, when Arch was like, I want to go to Texas. And Hyde was like, the ladies are going to love me.
Yo, Hyde's a trip, man. Talk about somebody that's having fun.
What he told us, hey, I'm living my best life.
Yeah. I ain't mad at it.
Oh, yeah. My brother's the star quarterback. Everybody's trying to get friendly with me because my brother's a star quarterback.
Yeah. Use
all the
that
girls.
to your advantage. Yeah, the ladies. Absolutely. Use that to your advantage, Hyde, and do your thing. Like, that's what it's all about. Yeah. It was a no-brainer to come to Texas. He probably could have went anywhere. He probably like, oh, do I go to Ole Miss like Pops? You know how the Mannings go, especially with what happened to Cooper. They're like, hey, who knows what could happen in your life? You want to go to a university where if football wasn't around, could you see yourself being there and living there? That's why I was like, oh, ATX, no-brainer. No-brainer. All right, here's a clip from Arch, Hyde, and our man Wills on the Wheelin' and Dealin' podcast where they're in DKR playing a little golf.
Okay, you don't want to hit. Are we done talking? You don't want to hit balls?
It's involved. It's involved.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. That's pretty damn good. That's a pretty good swing.
There we go.
Golly, that's so weak. Oh!
Shot, bro.
Yeah, it was Landon 11. Oh, Landon! Hot coffee!
Hey, don't be cutting up that turf.
For real, that's what I thought. I thought about that. I was like, damn, nobody care about the turf or nothing. But I feel like Arch has different rules than everyone else. Which that's how it goes sometimes. I ain't mad at that either.
Those guys can play a little golf now. I'm just telling you.
The Mannings or those two, like
The Mannings, Hyde and Arch.
Okay.
Yeah. They like to get out there.
By the way, this logo, we've talked about it before. What is this logo? Because I'm starting to see it more and more. Like, this looks like the OG logos that they used to have back in the day, where it's super animated. I like it. It's dope. It looks a little bit like the Red Raider, though. That's what's odd to me. It's not. Texas will never steal for Texas Tech in anything. It's the opposite. But this, I've been very curious about this logo. Is it just Angry Bevo, Joe K? Because I've seen Sark Rocket with the polo and it being a little one of these on the side. And for y'all listening on the app, I'm showing a picture of Arch Manning when he was on our Man Wheels podcast, and he's rocking just a Texas shirt with a very animated Yosemite Sam looking Bevo guy. So you've been covering the team longer than I have. You seen this before? Anything like this before? Can you check with the homies and the sources of when this?
Yeah, I'll check on that.
Okay, or what it is exactly. See, Alice says from the 70s. I don't know. Because that was way before I was even thought of. So I have no idea if this was one of the 70s looks. It's dope. It's cool. I dig it. But yeah, that's what they've been running with lately.
So the two big eyeball looking things are really his nose.
That's where it gets weird.
Because it looks like there's a little eye peering out from underneath the cowboy hat.
Yeah, to what Roy's saying, it kind of looked like some Hooters.
Yeah.
But Roy be thinking nasty, so I wasn't thinking that, y'all. Mama, if you listening, I was just reading what Roy said, and now my mind was racing a little bit. But okay, Angry Bevo.
All right, I'll look into it.
Mark said he rocked that in the early 80s. Okay, that's fire. Okay, so it's just a little throwback.
Okay, a little throwback.
Don't mind me, y'all. I apologize. I'm a 90s baby. So when y'all start talking 70s, 80s, even though I know my history, certain things the boy still needs to learn. And clearly Angry Bevo, the 70s and 80s, we bringing that back. I'm with it. I like it. You like it?
Yeah, I like it.
I like it. It's a good look.
That's a good look.
It's different.
Brings that Longhorn to life instead of just the silhouette. Instead of just the silhouette of them Longhorns. Yeah, it's crazy to me. Darrell Royal, he had a lot to do with the look that Texas has. Like, it was during his time that they came up with that Longhorn silhouette. And yeah, man, now it's, of course, people either love it or they hate it. They either love burnt orange or they hate it.
Yeah.
Like, women say, oh, it's hard to come up with outfits with burnt orange. That's why you go to Sue Patrick, because Sue Patrick's got all that. Sue Patrick makes it easy.
That's a lie. I be seeing women on game day. They be rocking the hell out of some burnt orange.
Yeah, because I'll say this, Mac Brown Remember how he used to say, come early, be loud, stay late, wear burnt orange?
Mhm.
He helped drive some of that. People started creating more fashion for the ladies, more burnt orange fashion. Because us guys, we're just going to throw on a jersey, right?
I mean, yeah, depends. But I see ladies rocking the jerseys too, like the baseball jerseys and stuff. It's fire. It's a good look.
Yeah,
It's a good look.
it's a good look.
Yeah. But
That's what I'm talking about.
yeah, somebody asked CDC about the Angry Bevo. And he was like, you got to check with somebody that's in charge of that. Because somebody was asking about that shirt in the co-op. Or just that logo stuff in the co-op. So that's why I love CDC, man. He's always interacting with fans.
It's crazy.
Like, who does that? What athletic director is doing that? Like, going on X, Twitter, and people are actually asking questions that he will answer if they're appropriate. And he feels the need to.
8 years in, he's still answering.
Still answering. Just a nice guy. Just a nice guy.
Just a nice guy.
Does he have a contract coming up or anything? Is there anything you got? Because you need to re-sign him or something. Something has to happen. Like, let's not even mess with the idea of not making sure he's taken care of. You know, like, that's not something that you want to overthink or take too long to pay your attention to. That's something that you got to do ASAP. For real. Like, there's no BS whatsoever. Like, I'd be checking in on him daily. Like, you good, right? You cool? Because if you're not, we can change that. We can change that. Like, you need this, you need that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you need help getting your new pool right? How's the whip? You need an upgrade?
Yeah, they've got him.
You need a new cowboy hat, new suit. What's up?
He's always getting attention. I think Stanford made a run at him.
Hell no.
He's like, man, I got things to do.
Palo Alto's a beautiful place, but he ain't trying to go all the way cross country to play Duke. Like, gotta play in Virginia. Are you kidding me?
Right.
That's like, you don't want those problems. No.
Nah. You don't want those problems.
You see the women's basketball team in Canada playing in the little league, what's it called? Global Jam. They play in Puerto Rico or played Puerto Rico. That game might be finishing up. But that's common. Those who don't know, during the summer before the season starts, sometimes schools will go overseas or out of the country to play against professionals. And usually those professionals aren't the best, but still, it's a good experience. Really, it's to build camaraderie, like, for your team. Like, you're going in a country that a lot of those girls or guys never been to, and you're getting better. You're getting the hoop. So Texas women, they beating the crap out of Puerto Rico. End of the third quarter, Texas women, they were up 70-29 against Puerto Rico.
It's 77-34 with 4 minutes left.
God.
Justice Carlton got 14 points.
Breakout year. breakout year. I'm expecting big things from Justice Carlton.
Ashton Judd has 11 points and 8 rebounds.
She's going to be good too.
She was the transfer from Missouri.
She can
Tough.
shoot it. She's big too, 6'1". She's like a 6'1" forward, like small forward. Like she can move. She is versatile. This team's gonna be better than last year's team. Like I love Taylor Jones. I love Shay Holly. Shout out to my girl Shay Holly. I don't know if you've seen it though, Chip. I had to digress a little bit, but she in love. Garrett Wilson in love. Shay Holly's in New York as we speak, being the wag of Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson just got paid. Garrett Wilson about to have that first team all NFL year. Was it because he got better in the gym? I don't care. I'm putting that on Shay Holly. He's the reason that he has any success this year. So we'll definitely mention Shay Holly, but
this is my man, Perzay Hilton, TMZ at his finest.
Oh, yeah.
When he starts conjuring up all kinds of stuff about Garrett Wilson having a big year because he's in love with
Shay Holly. Justin Fields found God.
Well, you'd find God too if you were a New York Jet.
What does that mean?
Speaking of the NFL, let's bring him in. The man who's in the Pro Football Hall of Fame for his coverage of the NFL.
Wednesday edition.
Pro Football Hall of Fame voter. And the voice of reason in H-Town, the one and only John McClain, who normally joins us on Fridays, but he's got something going on. So he was kind enough to join us on Wednesday. John, how you doing?
I'm doing great. And you were kind enough to move me, and I appreciate that very much.
Well, we had to get your take on the there's been all kinds of overreaction to Quinn Ewers going 5 of 18 for 91 yards with 2 fumbles in a preseason game. He was not playing with the starters, but that's a tough line, John. Your thoughts?
Doesn't mean jack squat. Just like Shedeur Sanders, people are ready to put him in the Hall of Fame because he went out and he was with a bunch of backups, going against a bunch of backups. He threw 2 touchdown passes. I saw somebody, one of the media people with the Browns, put out, pump the brakes. Here's Brady Quinn's first preseason game. And Quinn's stats blew away Shedeur Sanders, and he turned out to be a huge bust. I'm not saying Sanders will be, and it was a good debut, but you take it for what it was. Just like Quinn Ewers, you take it for what it was. Anybody pays attention to a first preseason game with a bunch of backups, it's preposterous. But that's what we do. One of the things I've learned is when all is said and done during the season, what somebody did in the first preseason game, nobody will mention it. Except for Shedeur, because every time he farts, it's news.
Yeah, speaking of Shedeur, John, what did you think of his performance? And I think he got hurt today, oblique injury. So have you heard anything on that and just where are the Browns going headed into this next preseason game?
Oh, we got the freeze.
Did we?
Little freeze.
Yeah.
Freeze-age. Typically,
He'll be back.
he'll be back. Usually it snaps back pretty quickly. There he is.
Sorry about that. We went a whole show last week without it freezing up. Dylan Gabriel, who was hurt last week, will be given a shot this week. Everybody still expects Joe Flacco to be the starter, and they'll keep the 2 rookies as the backup. Probably trade Kenny Pickett to somebody who'll give him a 6 or 7 for a guy who can be a backup quarterback. But for Shedeur to do what he did with all the pressure under him, it was good for him. Sure, it helped his confidence. And I hope the next time he plays, he does even better. But we'll see. These guys that do look good in the first first preseason game, I just learned a long time ago, don't put much stock in it.
Yeah. It's hard to know what to pick out of the preseason stuff, John. You probably rely more on your reporter friends who are talking to the actual team to figure out who's actually looking good in the preseason, right?
Well, one thing to keep in mind, say for Quinn Ewers, the media and the fans, and there's so many fan sites out there now because they can get the all 22 tapes. So many of them thinks they're experts, and that's great. They're big fans. Everybody wants to be on ESPN and have a website like that, and they're analyzing every throw, charting every practice throw in training camp and off-season program. We don't know what the play calls were. You don't know if Ewers threw a pass because he was about to get hit by a lineman. Somebody had missed an assignment up front. If a guy ran a route that was a half yard off and Ewers threw it where it was supposed to be thrown, but the guy wasn't where he was supposed to be. And those are the kind of things they will see. And Ewers, I don't know if he'll get another chance to play. I'm guessing he will probably in the last preseason game. And I bet you he does better. But I thought it was very unfair seeing people rip him because of his performance in that first game.
Yeah. You know, John, my wife and I were watching Hard Knocks with Buffalo, and she loves Hard Knocks. We always watch it every year together. But she said this about Josh Allen. She was like, man, he seems boring. And I'm thinking like, yeah, he's kind of boring and odd and different. But that's what I would want if I'm a franchise with my quarterback, especially with how good he is. What are your thoughts about just Josh Allen personally and where you see Buffalo going this year?
I think he's so boring. He got an actress in Hollywood, Haley Steinfeld, to marry him, so he can't be too boring to her. And I think he is a tremendous face of that franchise. Ideally fits the Bills and the Bills Mafia. Remember, he went to a junior college. Then he went to Wyoming. Wind was blowing like crazy. He had great size. He had a great arm, but he was not accurate. And when the Bills took him, a lot of people pointed that out about the lack of accuracy. And I've always been a stickler. If you're not accurate in college, most likely you're not going to be accurate in the NFL. But they took into consideration the circumstances in which he played in junior college and college, and the weather circumstances, and he's turned out to be a great prospect. Now, I thought Lamar Jackson deserved to be the MVP last year because he was better than the first 2 years when he won the MVP, but the voters gave it to Josh Allen, and he was worthy, and it's going to come down between those two unless Patrick Mahomes makes a turnaround with the talent that he has on his offense. And I'd love to see Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen get to their first Super Bowl.
John, what's going on with the Texans?
They lost their preseason game at Minnesota, and on the first drive, the offense went straight down the field. Looked great. Well, there was like 3 starters out there, and Davis Mills, who's the backup quarterback, he looked really good. What should we take from that? Well, his former starter has been a backup to C.J. Stroud the last 2 years. And as I tweeted and said on my radio shows, you take from that game that if something happens to Stroud, you should feel confident in Davis Mills as the backup. And general manager Nick Caserio should get ready to spend some money to try to sign him to a multi-year extension to be the backup and see if he wants to test the waters and see if he can get a better deal next year to try to be a starter. Well, sometimes you're comfortable, you like the city, your wife likes the city, everything's good, and you're still making a few $1 million a year. You might want to sit tight for a while because you know what they always used to say, the most popular player on the team is a backup quarterback. They don't say that anymore. They used to. That's why people thought Gifford Nielsen was a better quarterback than Dan Pastorini and Kenny Stabler because he never had to play. But in this case, David Mills can play. They've got a bunch of young guys that are either making the team or fighting for spots on the team, like their third and fourth receivers, 2 rookies, Jaden Daniels and Jalen Knoll from Iowa State. Those guys, they got really high hopes for them. They've got quite a few defensive players fighting to make the backup spots. And so that I was very impressed with their defense. J.J. McCarthy got to play a little bit. You know, people up there couldn't discern anything, whether he's going to be any good. Anybody that is asked about a quarterback who hadn't played, like, what kind of season do you think J.J. McCarthy is going to have? Well, realistically, you don't know. So much is dependent not just on him, but his teammates. So you just don't know. But now the Texans had a joint practice with Carolina tomorrow. Get to see Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud, rivals from high schools in California. First 2 quarterbacks taken in their draft, really good friends. I love joint practices and watch them all one-on-one, then 11-on-11s. Then they play their only preseason game here on Saturday, and then they go have joint practices with Dan Campbell and Detroit before they finish preseason on the road against the Lions. And so this one is when more starters play, and this is especially the Texans watching their offensive line. It's all anybody talks about here is the offensive line and the shuffles they're making because of injuries and because of performance. All I know about it right now, they got a rookie, Ariante Ursereet, second-round pick from Minnesota, 6'6", 330. That kid has looked really good from the start of the offseason program to the few snaps he played against Minnesota, and he looks real good. He'll be starting at left or right tackle, depending on the health of left tackle Cam Robinson.
So at tight end, I saw the season-ending injury to Brevin Jordan. Where was he on the depth chart at tight end?
Third.
And then they went and signed
somebody. The fact is,
Kitty.
This sounds terrible. I was doing a weekly show last night. Somebody said, well, Astros losing Josh Hader is a gut punch. This was a gut. I said, well, I don't want to seem unfeeling here, but this is a gut tap compared to a gut punch that the Astros have suffered with the best closer in baseball being out at least 2 weeks at a time when they have lost first place to the Seattle Mariners. And Brevin Jordan, one of the reasons it was so bad is in the end of 2023, his second year, he looked great. He was 6'3", 245, like a big wide receiver. He can run. He's an H-back, really. He's not a blocker. And he tore his ACL. Then he spent all year coming back. It looked great in the all-season program, looked great in camp, and then all of a sudden he suffers this knee injury on the goal line in practice, and he was screaming in agony, and they were indoors, and it was reverberating all over the facility, and a lot of it I know was agony, but also frustration knowing he was done for the year, and they put him on injury reserve the next day, yesterday, and he's out for the year. That's 2 in a row, and this would have been the last year of his contract. So they like to play 3 tight ends, so they've got to find another one. Irv Smith Jr. was signed to replace him last year. He's mainly a blocker, not a receiver, but their top 2 are Dalton Schultz, their starter, and Cade Stover, a second-year backup. But whoever the third one is will get a little action, but probably not as much as Brevin Jordan, who was incorporated into the passing game.
John, what's the word on C.J. Gardner-Johnson, and what are your thoughts about Graham Mertz, rookie, out of Florida, that went higher than Quinn Ewers somehow, but he's now in Houston?
And he's got something Ewers doesn't have, and that's 3 interceptions on his one-game resume. And nobody paid much attention to it because he's trying to make the team really at the practice squad at best. Sometimes teams don't keep quarterbacks on their practice squad. If they have to play the backup, they'll sign a veteran off the street to come in to be the backup. But Mertz, who looked good in the off-season program playing with backups, he just had too many interceptions. And Keaton Slovis, who at one point when he was at USC before he got hurt, started bouncing around college football like a pinball. He was one of the top-rated college quarterbacks in the country. So was Mertz. And those guys are, I want to say camp fodder. They're going to play more in preseason. They both played in the opener. But I'm not expecting either one of them to be around when they do that 53-man roster.
What about, I think, Zay, you asked about Gardner Johnson.
CJ, I don't think we're going to see him anytime soon. There was a report last week he'd blown out his ACL and he was done for the year, would have surgery, and then nope, ACL's intact. It was a knee injury, and they don't say what kind of knee injury and whether it'll require surgery, and we won't really know more about it until they do the 53-man roster. There was a report by Adam Schefter he could be ready for the first game. There's no way that guy's going to play in the first game based on that injury, whatever it was. So they still got a lot of depth at safety.
What do they think of Henry To'oTo'o, the former Alabama linebacker?
I remember one time with To'oTo'o, I was working and listening to Alabama's football because former Texans coach Bill O'Brien was a quarterback coach and offensive coordinator. And I wanted to see and hear about Bryce Young because I thought the Texans would have the first overall pick in the draft. And then I kept hearing To'oTo'o, and I didn't know what the hell they were saying. To'oTo'o. So I paid attention, saw it was a linebacker named Henry To'oTo'o, and the Texans drafted him, and he was a rookie last year. And he had some moments. He took advantage of Christian Harris being out for most of the season, and he was entrenched as a starter. And he has been really good. And Christian Harris is back. He may not get that second spot back because usually they're playing two linebackers. He can cover, he can rush, and he can play the run. And the only thing bad about Henry To'oTo'o is typing his name with 4 apostrophes. And some people still struggle if they haven't had to pronounce it. And you should never mispronounce a name because they've got a pronunciation guide every team does. But To'oTo'o, I've heard To'oTo'o, all kinds of To'oTo'os, and I'm sure he has as well. But one of the things about typing it, I know it has 4 apostrophes, but I still have to look where they go.
Yeah, forget it. Easy mistake. John, your thoughts on Aaron Glenn and the New York Jets? I always joke with Chip about Garrett Wilson because he's now dating Shea Holly, a former Texas women's basketball player. But Justin Fields, year 1, Jets, how do you expect them to do this year?
I remember when Aaron Glenn played for the Texans back when they just started. I was covering the NFL, traveling all over the league, but I was paying close attention to the Texans. And I remember the people that were covering the team, people I knew on the team, were talking about Aaron Glenn. He's going to be a coach when his career's over. And it took him a long time to be a head coach. You know, he's a Houston native. He went to A&M. And this is the first chance he's ever had coming off a tremendous performance with the Lions. And I saw on Get Up this morning, hosted by Mike Greenberg, a diehard Jets fan who predicted when they signed Aaron Rodgers, they'd go to the Super Bowl. And I heard him this morning talking about, well, what does Aaron Glenn have to do to get to the playoffs? And I'm thinking, playoffs? But every year there's surprise teams that make the playoffs and maybe.
Yeah. And maybe the Jets can pull it out of their rump roast and make it happen. Got a little technical issue there. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. What do you think the Jets are going to do, Zay?
Well, let me finish that thought right quick, Zay. I haven't seen Fields do anything to make me think he can get a team in the playoffs because he can't stay anywhere. You think about a young quarterback. Different head coach, different coordinator, different terminology. That's the worst thing you can do for a young quarterback. And that's what's happened to Fields. And I hope whether it's the Jets or another team, he can just get some stability with an organization because he does have talent. maybe this will be it. One of the good things about Aaron Glenn, and this was something that we saw Aaron Rodgers talk about, there's no BS with him. He told Rodgers, you're out the door. And Rodgers didn't like the way, couldn't tell him on the phone, made him fly all the way across the country. And he's going to instill a little more discipline in there. And could they be a surprise playoff team? At this point, just about everybody could, I think, except there's a few teams like Cleveland I wouldn't expect, I don't think. Well, I can't say Arizona. I don't know. But every year there are multiple teams that did not make the playoffs that make it, and it's also at least one that goes from worst to first and gets in, wins the division and gets in the playoffs. And I have no clue who that might be. A lot of people are saying the Bears. Maybe it will be the Bears. But I think Aaron Glenn, hopefully he'll do a good job there because he's paid his dues.
What's the story that's caught your attention, John, in this NFL preseason so far?
Well, one that it hadn't gotten much attention, and you guys may not know about it. Cowboys have a contract situation going on. Micah Parsons, their best pass rusher. Have y'all heard that?
I heard something about it.
Y'all need to pay more attention. I tell you the thing that I think is the John Gruden thing, in which the Nevada Supreme Court said that the NFL's ruling by law that everything has to be settled by arbitration, and Goodell is the arbiter. That is unconscionable. Well, another one that had a dissenting vote said, when you sign up for the NFL, and John Gruden knew this, if you have something like this, you're going before Goodell. Now the NFL will appeal. Mike Florio has a law degree and lays everything out ideally where some idiot like me can understand it. Said it'll be years and years before this ever ended up in court, if it did, and probably it'll end up in a settlement. But I would love for somebody under oath to have to reveal how those emails were leaked to the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal. Now, Gruden should have been fired. He wants to coach again. He should have been fired, deserved it. I don't think he deserves what he was. Based on what his emails said about race, I don't think he should coach again. He wants to coach in the SEC. If somebody hires him, that's fine. I don't care. He's doing enough right now. He's working for Barstool. I don't think there's been a lot of pushback against it, but I would still like to know who leaked it, and could it have been a lot of people's speculation about Dan Snyder. And I don't think we will ever find out. Gruden's got his ideas about who it is, but I don't think we'll ever know. That's a huge story. And then the Jerry Jones has got, is it today? What is today? No, it's late next week, I think, when Netflix has the documentary it's been working on for 2 years. They were shooting in 2023. They thought the Cowboys had a chance to go to the Super Bowl, got humiliated in that first playoff game by Green Bay.
Yeah, that comes out the 19th. Is that right?
Next week. It's getting all kind of build up. Jerry battled skin cancer in 2010. I remember he came down here to MD Anderson, Bob McNair, set him up to keep it quiet and everything. And turned out Jerry explained how he survived with a miracle experimental drug, and that had never come out publicly.
Wow. That's in the documentary.
He reveals that in the documentary. And plus, I know we're going to be surprised by this one. He said he likes controversy. I was stunned when I saw that.
Oh, my gosh.
Yes, P.T. Barnum.
Let me ask you guys something. I was stunned that the Longhorns have never been ranked number one going into the season. I was stunned when I saw they were the first number one team going to be an underdog in the first game. I think they're going to beat Ohio State. But I thought, man, of winning national championships with Darrell Royal, winning in 1969 with the big shootout at Arkansas, Richard Nixon, the president, declaring them national champions, much to the indignation of Joe Paterno and unbeaten Penn State. Who was number one the next year? And after the year that they beat USC, ESPN's team, who was number one the next year? USC. And I know Vince Young was gone, but still, were y'all surprised to know, and maybe you knew it anyway, Longhorns had never been number one going into a season?
No, I was surprised. I mean, you hit on it, John, when they went to the Wishbone mid-'68 and started their 30-game winning streak. You thought, well, maybe they could have been preseason number one going into the 69 season. And then they won the UPI national championship in 70. So they easily could have been preseason number one going into the 70 season. And then it gets a little choppy, as we know. The power struggle over how to replace DKR happened, and Fred Akers had a good year in 83. But after that, it was up and down and all around. So, yeah, I mean, it becomes plausible. But, yeah, when I first heard that, I was like, what? Is that true?
No player on there knew that. And probably none of the coaches knew it. And do you just assume that Texas would have been number one going into a season? Now that the Longhorns are gone from the Big 12, I'm pulling for them. I want them to beat Ohio State. I want them to win the national championship, unless they're playing Baylor, which they won't be. They don't need to worry about that, by the way. And I think they got a good chance, even though they're an SEC, because all the NFL people say they're loaded with talent. I can't wait to see Arch Manning. What if Arch only throws one touchdown pass and they lose by 10? Then is his career over? Is he going to be in the scrap heap with Ewers like it is going to be terrible if he didn't have a really good game. There's going to be so many nitwits who are going to have him already pegged as being overrated, which will be preposterous. And I'm thinking, what happens if he goes in there and throws 3 or 4 touchdown passes, runs for one, they win by 20? And as we're opening the doors to Canton, to Shedeur Sanders, we're going to have to make sure it's double doors so we can have Sanders and Arch Manning in at the same time.
Yeah. I mean, the hype is – David Cutcliffe told me no quarterback, none, has ever had this kind of
never
glare, pressure, whatever you want to call it.
Never.
Going into his first season as a starter.
Not just because he's the number one quarterback prospect, but the team, the first game, it's not like they're opening against Baylor. They're opening against the defending national champion. And so that just, boy, you talk about everything coming to a head right off the bat, and they could get stomped and still win the national championship. My only thing I'm surprised about is, why is it the first game of the day and not the last game of the day when you get a bigger audience?
Fox.
If you guys heard anything, Fox, well, why did Fox determine that?
Because that's their window that they've been trying to build up, this big noon kickoff. The Big Ten hates it. And of course, they're the primary partner of the Big Ten. So, yeah, this is a Fox thing. And I'm going to be interested to see, because the fans are kind of backlashing. They went to Ohio State to ask Texas if Texas would move the game to Sunday night. So a day later at night, and Texas is like, no, we're not going to do that. We're not going to shorten up our next week and help you all out. So they couldn't get it done, but this is Fox's thing. They put their biggest game at noon.
Noon kickoff. Can you imagine the ratings if it was Sunday night football with no NFL? It might be the greatest ratings of any college football game in history, other than maybe a championship, and it still might be the most in history. I don't blame them for not moving it. I wouldn't want to do what Ohio State wanted to do either. But man, oh man, that would have been just something else. I know this, like Baylor opens on Friday night at home against Auburn.
Yeah, that's a huge one.
They have the whole country to follow them. And then the next game they play SMU at 11, and it's going to be 100 degrees up there. The game goes from 11 to 2 or 2:30. A lot of my friends, and I admit they're old like me, they're going to watch, of course, but they're not going to go to the game because it's going to be hot as hell.
Yeah. What are you expecting from your Bears this year?
I think as long as Sawyer Robertson plays well, they got a chance to have a really good season. Robertson is a real good quarterback prospect in a season in which we should see a lot of highly rated quarterbacks, unlike this past season. And that's another reason. Arch Manning, whenever he comes out, he should be the first pick. But if Archie says he's not coming out, he ain't coming out. And we've thought here, and I know everybody in Austin thinking and hoping he's not going to just start for 1 year. He's going to wait and come out the next year. And the only way I maybe thought if New Orleans is the worst team in the league and then they get the first pick, maybe he wants to go home. Maybe he doesn't want to go home. He could have played in college closer to home if he was so attached to being at home. So that makes me think that's not going to make any difference at all. And now the next year, it could be another team, team where it's bad weather. Cleveland, Jimmy Haslam, who's buddies with Peyton, would love to get him in Cleveland when they open that new dome stadium in the suburbs. They're going to have about 4 years. But I think that this year is going to be a fun time to watch quarterbacks, including Sawyer Robertson. Baylor had a big Pendergrass, their backup running back, who's really good, went down for the year. They still have Bryson Washington, who's an outstanding starter, and they have depth. I think their offense is going to be really good. The key is, what can they do on defense? Can they stop people?
Yeah, Jake Spavital. I mean, he's kind of the unsung hero. That was a great hire by Dave Aranda.
Boy, and I didn't think so. And I had to admit, I'm like, what? They scraping the bottom? Then he turned out. Now, they made a terrible mistake on some guy from Toledo, Dequan Finn, who looked like he threw left-handed, even though he was throwing right-handed. He just couldn't throw. He had a sidearm delivery. Had he not gotten hurt, Sawyer Robertson may not have played, but he got hurt early on. Robertson came in, played great. They averaged 40 points a game. I think they might average that this year because the Big 12 is wild and woolly when it comes to offense and defense. So I think Baylor will be very exciting. I think the conference will be very exciting, but nothing is like the SEC.
Well, I'll say this about Spavital. He had a tough time as a head coach at Texas State, but everywhere he's been an offensive coordinator, those offenses have flourished. So I thought that was a great hire by Aranda. Now he's just got to get the defense squared away. No one can seem to agree on who's going to win the Big 12. I think Iowa State's going to be tough. I heard someone today talking about how no one's talking about BYU. I'm like, do they even have a quarterback? I mean, it's like everybody in the Big 12 has been picked to win it this year.
I like the balance. And it's interesting. They have a big money man. Texas Tech, of course, has a big money man. There's a great story from the first week of August in The Athletic by Sam Conn Jr., one of the best college writers in the country. It's the deepest dive into the Red Raiders and the money from Cody Campbell and a couple other alums, and how nobody's going to outspend them, and how they don't let money cost them any player. And they had 21 in the portal, and how much it cost them. And even though you got your budget now, you can still get around it, and they will not let money stand in the way. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. Joey McGuire is under more pressure than any quarterback in the country. And if they don't get to 10 wins and compete for that title, could he be out? And if he's out, I'll guarantee you Cody Campbell's going to get Nick Saban's number and call him and say, do you have any interest in coming back? And people will say, oh, why would he go to Lubbock? Just like Bobby Knight would never have gone to Lubbock, would he? He never. Was that a dream of mine that Bobby Knight went to Lubbock? If Bobby Knight would go to Lubbock and you give Nick Saban, say, $25-30 million a year, he'll go to Lubbock.
Yeah.
If he wants to coach again.
Right. Yeah. The other team that someone was talking about was Kansas, that no one is talking about Kansas.
They are now because that alum just gave him what, $300 million to spend on sports?
Yeah. Yeah. David Booth.
Just what Bill Self needs, more money for his basketball program.
Booth lives here in Austin.
Does he?
Yeah. He's a big investor, legendary investor. But yeah, $300 million to Kansas Athletics. It's enormous.
Maybe they'll use a little of it on football, not all on basketball.
Yeah.
Maybe just a little bit. Hey, John, last one for me. All the players in the NFL that are holding out, or I guess holding in since they're at practice, Trey Hendrickson, Cameron Hayward, Micah, Terry McLaurin, which one of those 4 guys do you think is going to get a contract done first?
Well, Hayward got a new one last year, and they talked about it. Yeah, you make All-Pro, and we'll do it again. Well, he made All-Pro. Now he's back. Can't live on $15 million a year. He's older. I think he'll come in the quickest. McLaurin, they have to get him done. He's so important to what they do on offense. They got to get him. Hendrickson, I think the Bengals I think they'll all get done because that's the way it usually works out. James Cook signed a new deal with the Bills. He was on the practice field today. The deadline's coming. They still got time, but I think they'll all be ready to go when the season kicks off.
John, you're the best. We appreciate it. Look forward to it next Friday.
Guys, thank you very much. I appreciate it as always.
Appreciate you, John.
There he is, John McClain, the general, the mad dog in the Pro Football Hall of Fame for his coverage of the NFL. Always fun. Never short on opinions. I had to set him straight about old Jake Spavital, though.
He said you straight. He said Jake Spavital, trash. Sorry, then the mother shut your mouth. He's let you know. He was like, nah, Spav, sorry, Chip.
What's wrong with you?
Me, I didn't say that.
Great. I'm not getting into this with you. You got your big spoon out. You're not even talking regular sense, common sense. You're talking nonsense. Anyway.
I'm just speaking on what I saw.
If they didn't have Jake Spavital, they wouldn't have no shot at beating Auburn on Friday, August 29th.
No.
Jake Spavital.
You throwing this energy to the wrong person. This energy needs to be put toward John. You and John had that disagreement. I'm in the middle. I see both sides.
That taken care of. All right, so Kansas, David Booth, who could be listening to the show. He's an Austin resident, big-time college football fan.
Yo, Booth, can I borrow $1?
Yeah. Actually, there's a documentary called Tune Out the Noise. And I need to try to find it because that is the story of David Booth, who started this investment firm, and now it controls it's insane, like $358 billion. And he is he's like Warren Buffett, but without all the attention. And let's see here. Yeah, his company oversees $853 billion. He is, excuse me. Yeah, I want to see this documentary, Tune Out the Noise, because this guy's got all the answers. If he's overseeing $853 billion, come on, Zay.
Yeah, dude definitely can afford cheese on his Whopper. The dude's definitely telling the Chipotle folks, no, you might as well throw that guacamole on there. I'm good. Throw it on there. We good around here. But yeah, we'll see. That football program, they still got Jaden Daniels. What's my man?
Jalen Daniels.
Yeah, Jalen Daniels.
Senior. Yeah, man. Watch out for
He ain't bad. He could play. If he's healthy.
They play Missouri. Kansas plays Missouri September 6th.
Oh, that's a rival game.
at Kansas.
Ooh.
With their new stadium that David Booth built them. David Booth's
stadium. It's just renovate, wasn't it?
Yeah, but it's like they tore it down. I mean, it was like it's a new stadium right there on campus. I mean, looking at the pictures, it's
where'd they play last year? They played there, right? It just looked like
they played at Arrowhead.
They played at Arrowhead last year?
Yeah.
Oh wow. Yeah, they really did tear it down.
Yeah.
God, Kansas football, Arrowhead. That's awful. That's awful. I bet you they ain't filled no type of seats. I bet you that was the most quiet you've ever seen Arrowhead. There's probably high school football games bigger than that. But yeah, good for them. Yeah, it's a Big 12 flip of a coin. I have no idea. Our boy Avery Johnson. Oh, Avery. Timmy, pass the ball, Timmy, David, Admiral. What's up, baby? My boy Avery Johnson. Here we go. The hair's still there. Goldilocks hair still flowing in the wind. Could this be his year? Big 12 player of the year.
Oh, wait. Kansas played in Children's Mercy Park last year.
What the hell is that?
In Kansas City, Children's Mercy Park. Oh, they did play one game. They played TCU at Arrowhead. Okay, so the first half of the season, they played at Children's Mercy Park, and then the second half of the season, they played all their home games at Arrowhead. So there you go. Now they're back on their campus at David Booth Stadium.
Okay, Children's Mercy Park is where they play their MLS games, football club. So
they closed in that end of the stadium. It's supposed to be nice. There used to be a track around that thing. You got to get rid of those football stadiums that are doubling as track stadiums because the crowd's too far away. Yeah, Texas got rid of its track and went and dug deeper into the ground so that you could get, closer to the field with more seating. That's how you do it. And everyone asking about the football field, it'll be grass for next year. Okay, there's Kansas.
Okay.
That's their new stadium they'll be playing in.
It's nice.
Yeah.
It's Kansas investing in the football program.
Let's see. What do they say? Okay, it's intimate. Capacity 47,000.
We'll take that at Kansas.
That's like Baylor.
I like Baylor Stadium. McClain, right there off 35.
Yeah. That stadium, Baylor's stadium, holds 45,140. Yeah. So Kansas got them by 2,000.
Yeah. Baylor also has that barn, that bootleg Fog Allen Fieldhouse.
Yeah. Yeah, they tried to build a mini Fog Allen Fieldhouse.
Yeah. It's all right.
You like it?
It's
Foster Pavilion?
It's all right.
You been in there?
No, I have not.
Okay.
On TV, they had, you remember they had the camera angle?
It's pretty steep.
Look it down like this. Yeah, steep as hell. Like, they got it fixed this year, I think, but the house that RG3 built. That's my man.
RG3.
RG3. I haven't seen RG3 in a while since Shaq said he was going to punch him in the face for his Angel Reese comments. Shaq, how can you be the spokesperson and like part owner for Papa John's threatening people? That's crazy. That's crazy. I love you, Shaq. I had the Kamikazes back in 94, 3 years old. Them Reebok shoes. Like, I'm a huge Shaquille O'Neal fan. Love his business savvy. He's a hater, but I'm also a hater. So maybe that's why he's relatable to me. I'm not on that level of hate, but you know what I'm saying. But yeah, I haven't seen RG3 in a while. You know, RG3, I guess, been laying low.
He's probably playing with his Pokemon dolls.
Maybe.
You know, he's got all those Pokemons. Were those cards or were those actual Pokemon? They had to be cards in his backdrop. Do you remember this?
Kinda.
So when he would appear on ESPN from his home, he set up a little home studio in front of him and a bunch of Pokemon cards. And I just thought it was wild, but he's his own guy. Remember when he was at Baylor, it was those socks. He always wore attention-getting socks. They asked him about it at the Heisman. You know, he's always been his own guy. All right, let's get a couple mentions in here and get to the comments.
Cornball brother, Rob Parker.
Huh?
He's not a cornball brother, Rob Parker. You should be ashamed of yourself.
Well, are you looking to see if those were Pokemon cards?
I can't find anything on it.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get a couple mentions.
My fault.
Couple mentions in here. Like Cover 3. Get over to Cover 3 right now. Happy hour has started. 3:30 to 6:30 every day. 3:30 to close on Mondays. Don't forget about brunch on the weekends. Man, I just love the breakfast quesadilla, the do-it-yourself Bloody Mary bar. You like shrimp and bacon in your Bloody Mary? Oh, yeah. Cover 3 brunch is legit. And you might bump into my man Tiger over there. So head over to Cover 3 Anderson, Cover 3 Round Rock, and of course, Cover 2 at 183 in Lake Creek. And Doug Young, Matt Dotson, the owners of Cover 3, have also started a restaurant called Whiskey Ridge down in Buda. So if you're ever down south, check out Whiskey Ridge. Hey guys, my guys who are snoring, take advantage of this incredible opportunity right now at Sleep Cycle Center. Started by Chad Denman, Dr. Chad, awesome guy who's committed his life to treating sleep apnea because it killed his own father at the age of 60. And he's determined to make sure none of that happens to anyone listening to our show. And so you go to sleepcyclecenters.com and you tell them Texas Sports Unfiltered sent you, they're going to take $100 off your sleep study. And that's awesome. I mean, Dr. Chad wants to make sure that you're getting checked. He's got the best technology to detect sleep apnea, the level of sleep apnea, and all the best remedies, including oral appliances, which is what I have, a mouth guard that holds my lower jaw open while I sleep so I get the oxygen that I need. You know what to do. SleepCyclecenters.com. Tell them Texas Sports Unfiltered sent you. Locations in Lakeway and at the Arboretum. And, of course, our man Tom McKay, who is ready and waiting for you if you're ready for the big screen of your dreams. You just call 255-8678, and Tom and his crew will bring everything to you. You don't need to be going to the stores, lugging 80-inch TVs around town, punching holes in your drywall. Let Tom and his crew handle it. You just have to make that simple phone call. 255-8678. Of course, area code 512. Look at this. Ike just left Cover 2. That's what I'm talking about, Ike. Love that. Love me some. I love everything on that menu. I love the flatbreads, the wings, Chop House Burger. Texas Monthly calls it one of the best in the state of Texas. All right. For the chip shot today, we'll talk a little bit about Arch Manning because it's like when you try to bring reason to the Arch Manning, like any mention of Arch Manning, it's kind of ridiculous and crazy. But this is a guy who wants to succeed at the highest level. And I think we can, I go back to the little sample size that we have when he kind of came in out of the blue against the UTSA. He is slinging it all over the place. He threw for 4 touchdowns in that game, and they were all long distance. It was 75, it was 49, and 19, I think was the shortest one. And that was the one he threw on his first play of the game when he came in to the UTSA game. And then when he had time to prepare, he got a little greedy against ULM, a couple interceptions. He only completed 51.7% of his passes. They won by 51-3, but his performance was not great. And then the next week, Mississippi State, 26-31, 325 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks, and he ran for a touchdown. And I do hear that they're working Arch more under center so that when they get down into those goal line situations for a quarterback sneak, he's comfortable with that since so much of it is out of the gun. But I'm fascinated to see if things don't go well, how he gathers himself. Let's say Ohio State makes a play, intercept, maybe as a tip pass, and maybe a receiver ball glances off his hands, and Caleb Downs takes it back for 6. Okay, how does Arch settle down in that situation? Because these are the things that he's never experienced before. And this is also where coaching is enormous because, Steve Sarkisian, AJ Milwee, even though Milwee's critical of Arch, he's also got to coach him up. If something goes wrong, he's got to reassure him, tell him, hey man, you're fine. Here's what's going on. And that's going to be interesting too, because, we saw a couple situations in Quinn Ewers' first year as a starter, including the last road game Texas ever lost at Oklahoma State, when he targeted Xavier Worthy 17 times and Worthy caught 3. And you're like, what is happening? Just hand the ball to Bijan Robinson. But that's the intangible stuff that I'm most interested in seeing. And if he gets off, like John McClain said, if he's comfortable and he's seeing that defense that no one quite knows what to expect because it's Matt Patricia who is coached in the NFL and ruined my Lions for a couple of years and ruined Mac Jones when he came back. And Bill Belichick ruined Mac Jones by putting Matt Patricia as the offensive coordinator. Mac Jones is like, dude, do you know what you're doing? But anyway, that quarterback coaching matters. And if Arch is loose as a goose and slinging it all over the place and looks great and Texas wins by double digits, watch out. Those Heisman odds are about to go cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. But my sense of it will be, we'll see, that there could be, a couple struggles out there. And how does Arch handle that? Bounce back? Because we know he puts a lot on himself. He expects a lot. He's hard on himself. So we'll see.
Yeah, how does he keep that composed? How does he handle that adversity to where he could shake that off? Because somebody on that offense, to what Steve Sarkisian talked about the other day in his presser when he was saying he has to figure out how to not allow a very bad play affect the rest of the drive. in the rest of the game. So was he talking about Arch Manning? We don't know. All we can do is speculate, but it's going to happen. There's going to be some bad moments, and he's going to have to get over it quick and have a quick memory and be able to bounce back to continue to put his teammates in the best situation possible for the success to happen. And even though we're very high on it, we haven't seen it a lot. So a lot of big questions about Arch Manning and this offense, and very excited to check it out for sure. Great chip shot, my guy. Appreciate the analysis and information per usual. Let's get to the right call. Before that, though, got to give a shout out to Covert Bee Cave, the best in the business. Wifey and I are Covert Bee Cave people. Got our Buick Encore GX from there, and we love it. It's just an amazing place. And if you don't want to take our word for how good Covert Bee Cave is, listen to these fine folks at Covert Bee Cave.
It's really a family experience. I walked in the showroom today and everybody greeted me by name. How are you doing? What's going on? How's everything going?
From a price standpoint, from a customer service perspective, just conversation when you come in, it feels no pressure. I want to buy cars here.
The family buying car experience, one of the best that you will ever have.
Come and experience it for yourself.
Covert, born and raised in Austin.
Nobody beats a Covert deal. Not now, not ever. All right, Chip. So what's going on in the sports world a little bit? So Taylor Swift is making her first ever podcast appearance going on the Kelce podcast. Jason and Travis Kelce, her boyfriend, Travis Kelce. Taylor Swift is going on the show. It drops tonight. Low key, I'm excited about it. I'm excited.
Didn't she announce her new album?
She announced the new album. Yes.
On his podcast?
Yep, announced the new album. She had a funny quote. She says, as we all know, you guys have a lot of male sports fans that listen to your podcast. I think we all know that if there's one thing that the male sports fans want to see in their spaces and on their screens, it's more of me. So Taylor Swift, she's funny. She's funny. Like, I've grown on Taylor ever since she and Travis have gotten into a relationship. You know, I love here. You don't believe in the relationship. I don't know how that was. It's been a while since we tackled that topic, but she's going on the podcast. She doesn't go on podcasts really at all. I think this is her first one ever. Now going into year 3, I look at it, their relationship as NFL seasons. Now going into year 3 of the Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift relationship. I ask you, Chip Brown, where do you stand on their relationship as a couple at this point?
I am completely mystified. I'm mystified. I don't know whether to believe this or not. But, I mean, they just seem like
happy, in love.
Okay.
They
just seem like opposites. I don't ever. It's like Travis Kelce's like that frat guy who's out, blowing up mailboxes and like a
anymore.
And she's this deep well of emotions and lyrics, and I need my writing time. Travis Kelce's doesn't have the attention span of a fruit fly.
Yo, you're being so disrespectful to Travis Kelce. You don't become one of the greatest tight ends of all time being dumb. Say what you want about Rob Gronkowski, but Rob Gronkowski, come on, that playbook and stuff like
Brett
that.
Favre, I get it. These dudes have a sixth sense about football that you wouldn't think. I mean, what did we find out the other day? That Brett Favre didn't know why they called it nickel defense? I mean, are you kidding me? Brett Favre didn't know about nickel defense until years into his career? Why they call it nickel? Because they take a linebacker off the field and put in a defensive back.
Five.
Oh, really? Okay. Okay. Now my wife's giving me a hard time saying that Taylor Swift is a deep well, but she's got lyrics.
Yo, she's got lyrics.
She's
Wait, what's deep well mean? What's that mean?
Like she's got a lot of thoughts. She's a deep person. She's got a lot of artists, right?
She's an artist.
Yeah.
I love their relationship, man. I think they've both changed for one another for the better. Like, I think that Travis Kelce that we used to see, who was a ridiculous person on the field, he was fun going on reality Bachelor-like shows and things like that. That Travis Kelce, way in the rearview mirror. Like, I don't even recognize this person now. He's lost a step or two on the field, but he just seems like a better person. Her too. Like, she seems more witted. She seems just like a normal person. Like, I've always thought Taylor Swift as just a big time pop star that's her life. Like, the fame, all her ex-boyfriends dragging them through the mud in her lyrics. I'm gonna listen to this album because I've never seen her just straight up happy in a relationship. Which, Travis, you need to pop the question soon, bro. I get that they're enjoying it, but come on, give the people what they want. Like, this is time to get on the knee and pop that question. But yeah, I'm very intrigued to see the new album because she can't bash no one right now. Like, where is she? Like, life's just been good. It's gonna be different. It's gonna be a very positive album. You know, she's gonna have a few tracks about Travis and stuff. Like, see, my man Chan's foul. You and Chan, y'all are foul people. Chan says after 3 years, it's more than I read that wrong. Chan's with me. He said after 3 years, it's more than a fling. My fault, Chan. He's with me. Chan believes in love. That's what I'm saying. This ain't no fling no more. This is real, passionate love. You know what I'm saying? She's cool with the families. Her and Mama Kelce are probably going to farmers markets together where they rent the whole farmers market out because Taylor Swift can't be seen in public. They're probably doing real family type things. That is beautiful, wholesome. What we need right now. That's what the people need.
I'd rather watch Jason Kelce's commercials with his wife.
Oh, his tough ass wife?
Yeah.
His wife will beat the hell out of somebody. I like her too.
Yeah.
She's cool. She's cool. Like, she said that she's never worn Chiefs gear to one of Travis's Super Bowls or any game of the Chiefs. She said she can't do it. Jason will do it, even though he actually played for the Eagles. She said her love for the Philadelphia Eagles runs so deep, she will never in her lifetime wear anything to support Travis Kelce's team, even though that's her brother-in-law. I
love that, man. Stand for something.
She's a real one.
If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything.
She's a real one. But I need to get you on the Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift bandwagon. I got to get you on that because I'm trying to see her at games. I never hated that. I always loved when the camera put it on Taylor and she was dropping F-bombs and just engage. She looked so hurt after they lost the Super Bowl this past year. She looked hurt. She looked like, damn, I've never felt this before. This is different. She might write a song about that. I would love.
Well, her new album is called Life of a Showgirl.
Yeah, I don't know what
it's not about, what's his name? Sheeran? Ed Sheeran? What's the guy? Ed Sheeran? Ed Sheeran, one of her exes where she's dragging his ass through the mud.
Wait, she dated Ed Sheeran?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I mean, she's had little flings with a bunch of dudes.
Oh, yeah. See, they've never dated. AI. You know AI is always right. AI Google. No, Ed Sheeran and Taylor Swift have never dated. But they're cool. They're tight.
Listen.
Here you go being messy. Don't put that on Taylor.
It never reached that level. It was like hotel hijinks. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. So
you don't know.
Let's bring in the open gym.
That fire crotch Ed Sheeran wasn't doing nothing.
Man, I love insider Taylor Swift Chip Brown.
Zay is writing love letters to Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, and I'm like, I mean, she has had some fun in the day, you know.
Wow. Like Travis has it?
As she should.
Like Travis has it?
Oh no, I didn't say that.
Yo.
I didn't say that. Didn't she get with John Mayer? Hasn't everyone gotten with John Mayer?
Yeah, John
She did get with John Mayer. That's a fact.
He's a player, though.
How do y'all know so much about this? I don't know how. I mean,
Zay tells me all this stuff.
I don't
get it.
Well, both of my sisters are like diehard Swifties, so I kind of get inundated with all the updates.
I don't know any of this. Yeah. I know she's a singer, and she does very well for herself. It's about the extent of my Taylor Swift knowledge.
Hey, we will see you tomorrow.
See you guys.
Later, guys.
Tomorrow. Welcome into Open Gym here on Texas Sports Unfiltered. Rolling on to a Wednesday afternoon here on the broadcast. Myself, Patrick Davis, alongside Matt Galatzan of Texas Longhorns on SI. And, of course, you guys, the third member of Open Gym. Text line's open 512-222-9328. And, of course, over here on the chat, Facebook, Twitch, X, and on YouTube. If you're over on that YouTube, make sure to give us a like and a subscribe. Maybe I just don't apparently have enough women in my life, Matt. That's the reality. And the women I do have, we don't ever talk about those things. They know Patrick's not interested, so don't. He will just zone out. He'll go in his own world. He won't retain any. I barely retain information I want to know. So don't retain any of this stuff.
Well, I don't enjoy any of it, if it makes you feel any better. I just kind of get forced into hearing it. Like every time I bring up a musical artist where I'm like, hey, have you heard this song? It's really good. My sisters are both like, it's not Taylor Swift. It doesn't matter. And it's just like, did you know that she had 37 albums of the year in 2026? It's like, what? Like, come on. I'm just saying this Zach Bryan song is pretty good.
Yeah, for the record, like 95% of popular artists are complete and total garbage to me. So I just fallen into all that. Like I just go and have fun. Other people like it. It's not for me, but have fun with it. If you enjoy it, enjoy it. I don't care. I don't have a good enough palette of popular music to make any sort of aspirations. And I still, in watching games, it's never been a big issue for me either. They show other celebrities that I don't want to see, so just falls into that category. It's all stuff that's kind of just like in the grand scheme of things. Like the fact that Tom Brady gets to talk on there bothers me way more than seeing Taylor Swift. Because Tom Brady is not a charismatic person. Tom Brady's a guy who wants to be a charismatic person.
This is why I put most NFL broadcasts on mute anyway.
Yeah,
so
me too.
Don't care.
I might get with you. She's extremely popular. She does very well for herself. People I know who I respect like her a lot. So I don't really,
But this is also my biggest problem with the whole thing. Just because I'm not a fan and I don't care doesn't mean I'm not giving her credit. That's what I always get in trouble with the women in my life. It's like, oh yeah, I don't really want to look, but she's the best. You need to recognize that she is it's like, that's fine. It's not for me.
Music is subjective. There is no best. It's what's the best to you.
It's my favorite.
Yeah. The point of music is not to assign a winner. Mm-hmm. That's why, again, a popular opinion, 99% of award shows should go away. They're stupid. They're dumb. It's just somebody trying to assign a way to get someone paid more money and to try and make you think that they're more popular than they are. By selecting them. They're all run by the same people. It's awful. We should stop doing it. Mm-hmm. But All that being said, I agree with you, Hair the dog. If he was a robot, I think they could make a robot more likable than Tom Brady, though. Tom Brady just progressively getting less and less likable as he sinks into then just being he's just going to be a billionaire and then another billionaire who doesn't get why people who don't have a lot of money don't like him.
Hell
like
yeah,
he'll be
Rodney.
that guy.
Hell yeah.
Rodney. No, she's not. But I bet something tells me Robert O'Keen's not that. I don't know if he would have that heavy of an opinion on her.
Oh, he doesn't care. But
oh yeah, my buddies are in a Zeppelin tribute band. Just played Antone's on Saturday night and killed it. It is always good to get the let out, enjoy some Led Zeppelin as well. We were doing that on a Saturday night, hanging out with some friends of mine that are very, very talented musicians. But yeah, that's the thing, is like everybody has their own stuff that you enjoy. And then if you enjoy music, this is why I say I've worked in music since I was 17. My parents were both in bands before I was born. My theory, my logic in it always is, if music moves you, if it actually moves you, if it makes you feel positivity and happy things, that's the point, and that's great. Whatever it is, it doesn't have to be the same thing. It is frustrating when you have friends that you can't get along on certain music. Like you put it on, the other person's like, man, these guys don't like this. That's frustrating, but it's not wrong. Where you just have to be an adult about it sometimes.
Yes, precisely.
It's very much like when we get into sports, and then we'll have arguments, and two people will get into deathly arguments about which team is better, and you're like, you both just grew up nostalgic. Like you should both root for your teams. You can't just. How boring would it be if we all just agreed on one team? And they were like, every year, and then every year we lose, we're just like, oh, no one even likes that team. We all agreed to like this other team. It's a weird thing. Everybody needs to be correct on things that are not really correct things. There is no right team. There's a wrong team, and it's whichever one Jerry Jones wins. But everyone else, there's no correct team. You just root for who you root for, and you have a good time watching it. That's kind of the whole point of it all.
Yes, well
Matt,
said.
We get into it. This is your last day. You have big plans coming up for the next few days for the weekend?
Yes. I am going on a 3-day beach vacation with my girlfriend, a little getaway before the hysteria of football season begins. Nice. And I will be locked in a basement for the not really, but I'll be locked into not having a life for the next, 5 or 6 months until February.
Yeah, that's it. This is the end of it, where we're all getting excited about it. But yeah, it is a short span. This is always the one doing the radio stations and doing stuff with, where I was helping run broadcast stuff. It was like everybody at the radio station for 2 to 3 months. You're like, this is everyone's vacation time is in this one little area. And you don't get it spread out. So it's just half the office out, and then you're trying to find fill-ins for everybody during the time because we are clamping down to it just a couple weeks away now from getting to football and getting some really important action and getting into what's the one game? Iowa State, Kansas State? Is that on the 23rd? Is that the one game on the 23rd that matters?
I believe that's right, but I'd have to double check.
So yeah. So we're getting closer and closer to that, and then of course we get to the 30th and everything shuts down. We start to get really upset at people who ask us to do things on weekends. Like it's like I always, because I do it. I 100% do it. And they're just like, hey, do you want to go out and like get dinner? And you're like, it's a weekend. But you can do this on like a Tuesday. What are you talking about? We do it on a weekend. They're like, well, yeah, it's a weekend. I thought we could. Is the game on? We have to watch the games. So this is important.
Yeah. Well, the way that I have always explained it to my friends is my weekend is not Friday, Saturday, Sunday. My weekend is like Wednesday or Thursday, maybe during football season. And then I kind of have to, there's no, like I'm traveling on Fridays, working all day Saturday, working all day Sunday. And then the week kind of starts. So it's a little bit different in our line of work, but it is what it is. You got to adjust to it. And if they care enough, they'll understand and they'll let it slide.
No, and I mean, you'll get to Thursday, you get Thursday Night Football, and it's awful, and we still watch it every week.
Yes, we do.
Just watch this awful broadcast of games that really shouldn't be being played on a Thursday, and clearly they're not ready. And but we're going to keep doing them. And I get we don't want to move it to Fridays because it really should be a Friday game. But we don't want to, go against high school football. But you're like, just put it on later on a Friday. Just put it on later on a Friday. That'd be fine with that. But like, they're clearly the teams are not ready on Thursday. Like blatantly, the teams are not.
Thursday games are always so weird for that exact reason. Like they're the last games that you should ever bet on in the NFL. If the Eagles were playing the Saints on a Thursday night this year, I would probably put my money on the Saints because that's how weird the Thursday night games go.
I don't know about that. I don't know if I would ever put the money on the Saints this season and watching their quarterbacks playing like we talked about the Dolphins had issues where you're like, oh man, the backup quarterbacks at the Dolphins may be ready. Quinn isn't quite ready yet at that. And Zach Wilson looked really bad. So what are we going to do about the Dolphins? And you're like, oh, that's all the quarterbacks over on the Saints. It's every one of them. They don't have the good one. They don't have Tua where at least there will be someone decent on there. Let's get into a little Texas football talk today. I have seen now that our media cycle is rotating as it does. And, we may get into this little AP poll talks. We haven't really talked about it. And I may want to talk with you before we get to before you take off this week. But Texas gets number one. So we went into the Texas is the greatest program in the world and Texas is the new Alabama and all these talk and blah, 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 blah. And then we get the rebuttal to that by basically the same organizations who said it. So one show on the channel says these are the greatest ever. And then another show on the channel says, no, they're not. Hold your horses. And you go, wait, who's saying that we are the next Alabama? We haven't won a natty yet. And you can't, I don't think how many Texas fans are actually saying we're just as good as a team that won several national championships. We'll get there. You can say we hope we're on the path or we think we're headed the right way and 2 straight playoff appearances is good. But I don't know if you can claim any of that when you're not, ready to go. But so then you get the flip of that. They're like, they're not the next Alabama. We're like, no, of course they're not. Of course. That's hard to say. We didn't even beat Georgia last year. Hard to say we're there yet. But I've seen now that is starting for Arch again. That hype train is starting. So the media circuit, what they do and how it works, it is starting again for Arch because this morning alone, I saw 3 different pieces talking about Arch Manning. There was an SEC Network one. There was a Mel Kiper thing that they were like 2026 draft prospects and that, and he was the cover of that one. And I believe there was another one of the sites that I go to. And all of those, and it's all the Arch Manning. So we're probably Friday, if not Monday, will be Arch Manning overrated again. So be ready for it. It's coming because that's the cycle. The cycle is somebody says Arch's, which is Paul Feinbaum, but Paul Feinbaum comes out, and I believe the Paul Feinbaum line was like, we're about to see the greatest, one of the greatest performances in decades or something like that, where it was just so over the top of a line of a quarterback who hasn't played much yet. So I wanted to get with you, and I want to ask the people in the chat too, about realistic expectations. We were talking about this a little bit yesterday too. What are the realistic expectations for Arch Manning in year 1 as a starter? Where are we at? Where's a line where we can say if he does this, maybe yardage, touchdowns, completion percentage, interceptions you're looking at? What are the lines that we're starting to look at for an Arch Manning realistically? Not in the big mass media sphere of when we can play the Sark audio. I've got the Sark audio talking about it. If we want to play that real quick, I'll pull it up. Sark saying that he's either going to be the greatest quarterback of all time or he's going to be the worst quarterback of all time. And there's nothing that you can do about it. The hype is coming, all of those pieces. I'll play this audio. It's loading right now for me. But this audio, Sark talked about it on Monday, talked about how there is nothing. So I want to try and find in the middle, Matt. So I'm going to play this audio. I want to give everybody a chance. Start putting in predictions of reality for Arch Manning, where we're not shooting the moon. We're not saying this is going to be Arch Manning winning the Heisman in a unanimous decision. They rename it the Manning Award because it's just for Arch, but the Arch Manning Award renamed for him because there's never been a college football player as good as Arch Manning. I don't think we make it maybe over the top. Here's what Sark said Monday about the hype. He was asked basically, how is Arch dealing with the hype? And how does he do that? And his first is, I don't know. It's not me. It's him.
I don't know. You don't know the truth? I don't know. Like I don't really know yet. What I know is what I see every day, and he seems good to me. We visit a fair amount to make sure that what frame of mind is he in where I think he performs the best. There's this is going to be a long season, and unfortunately, we live in a world of he's the greatest ever or he's going to be a bust, and there's not a lot of like in between, and it's kind of like where we are as a team. We're either going to be national champs or we're going to be a bust. Like that's the mentality outside of our building. We don't really think that way. I don't think Arch thinks that way. I think Arch thinks about what am I doing today to improve? What am I doing today to be the best teammate I can be? When the game weeks roll around, what am I doing to prepare to put myself in the best position to perform? I just don't think he's that concerned, no offense to you guys, with what you guys write and say. I don't think it matters to him. I really don't. I think it's more about what do his teammates think about him? And that's a cool thing to have. And so, but I don't know yet because we really haven't gotten into the fire. As much as the hoopla has happened, we really haven't gotten into the fire of real games and dealing with that in-game, post-game, next week's game, so on and so forth, with really dealing with the media that way.
Yeah. So there's Sark. And I mean, that's also the point we're going to have to deal with throughout the whole season is, Arch throws 2 interceptions. One's a tip pass at the line, and one is a tip pass by a wide receiver that goes out. Neither one was just a terrible decision, but they're all tip passes. But it's 2 picks. The narrative is Arch threw 2 picks. Is the season over for the Longhorns? Has Arch ruined everything? So those are the conversations we're going to have all season long. So, Matt, we'll start with you. We'll see if anybody in the chat wants to throw that in there. For Arch Manning, what's the reality for Arch this season? How many, are we talking run-of-the-mill numbers? Are we talking top 5, top 10 statistically in some of these categories? Where do you put Arch realistically for this season?
Yeah, I mean it's a fair question, and I want to temper everybody's expectations because as confident as we are in Arch being one of the best quarterbacks in the country, which I am. I do think that he is as far as talent is concerned, one of the best quarterbacks in the country. I fully believe there's going to be an adjustment period, as the starter. Your first game is in an extremely tough place to play against a really good, super talented defense. How much are they going to ask him to do in week 1? How much are they going to ask him to do it in the coming weeks after that? And then kind of expand his responsibilities as the season goes forward. It all is sort of, based around his comfortability with being the starting quarterback, which takes time. It's very rarely is there a freshman quarterback that comes in and sets the world on fire. And when it happens, it's one of those things where it's sort of an aberration, so to speak. So I kind of want to go through and look at some previous numbers for some first year starting quarterbacks that, we can kind of get a baseline on. If you look at like Lenore Sellers last year,
yeah,
a lot of people are saying right now, Lenore Sellers is probably the best quarterback in college football.
Mm-hmm.
And last season, in 12 games, he threw for 66% completion percentage, 2,534 yards, 18 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions. He averaged 211 yards a game through the air. He had 674 yards on the ground with 7 more scores. I think that is probably the kind of season that you're looking at if you're saying pretty decently high expectations for Arch. That comes along with winning a bunch of games. That comes along with probably getting to an SEC championship or something like that. The fact of the matter is, Arch does not have to be a world-beating Heisman-level quarterback for this to be a good football team. There's a lot of talent around him. That defense is going to help carry them through some games, and he's going to have some struggles from time to time. A lot of people believe that if Arch doesn't come out And, the best season in the history of Texas football for a quarterback is Colt McCoy in 2008. 3,859 yards passing, 34 touchdowns. Okay. That, I think, is probably well out of the realm of expectations in the regular season. He's going to play 4 more games than Colt McCoy, so theoretically he could break that record. But I would caution people to look at it from more of a conservative point of view. I mean, Colt threw for 2,570 yards and 29 scores in his freshman season in 2006. That's an excellent season. Sam Ehlinger, in his first year as a starter, threw for almost 3,300 yards and 25 touchdowns. Quinn Ewers, in his first season as a starter, only played 10 games, threw for 2,177 yards and 15 touchdowns. So I think that the realistic scenario here for Arch is a fairly good completion percentage, somewhere in the 60s, maybe 63%, around 3,000 yards passing in the regular season, maybe a little bit higher, and around 20 to 25 touchdowns, I think would be a good year for Arch. And that's really all that you can expect out of a guy in his first year of a starting quarterback. Anything more, you're just projecting well above what the standard production for a first-year starting quarterback is. And if he doesn't come out and throw for 4,000 yards and 40 touchdowns and rush for another 10 touchdowns and, 500 yards on the ground, it's not the end of the world. You know what I mean? So just temper your expectations. In a good year from Arch is about, somewhere around what Lenora Sellers did last year or what Colt McCoy did in his freshman year or something like that. And I think that that's totally fine.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say the number that's kind of, to me, the biggest number that I think his numbers will be somewhat similar to Ewers were last year. I don't think they'll be the same, but I think they'll be similar. They may be down a little bit more because this is first year. It may be down a little bit more because I think they're going to run the ball more this season. When you had a 1,000-yard rusher last year, but you could have, a guy be a 1,000-yard rusher and a guy be a 600, 800-yard rusher. You could have a lot of yards on the ground this season. So that just takes some of your total yardage away if you're handing the ball off more and more. I think the touchdowns will probably go down in that aspect as well too. The number that I kind of keep looking at is interceptions, because that to me is the one that stands out the most. He has a longer leash because you're not putting in Trey Owens or KJ Lacey. You're not benching Arch Manning. So he has a pretty long leash. We know that he, in the short times he played, was pretty open to throwing the ball down the field. And most importantly, he's a lot of young receivers. He's a lot of young receivers who may go up for a pass, and those become interceptions. And I know we don't count them the same way in real life, but they are interceptions. They go on your stat record forever and ever that those are your interceptions. You threw the ball. So I think that number to me, and they are drive-inners. They are turning the ball over. They are cost you big games, even if they're not your fault. I think that's the one number that I'm really most curious about where he ends up at. Because I think, even on a good season, you're looking at, what Quinn had last season, had just under 3,500 yards. I can't imagine it being much more than that. Like, that's Quinn. I mean, I figure it'd probably be around 3,200, 3,300 is probably a good season for Arch Manning. Because, again, I think the running backs are going to run the ball more. So with all that, I think 32, 33 is a really good season for Arch Manning. I think touchdown-wise, Quinn had 31 last year. I think you knocked that down a few more for being a first-year player. You knock it down a few more for the running backs. So put that down. You say that's around 22, 25. Still a really good year. Still a really good year for Arch Manning. The big one was Quinn had 12 interceptions last year. Is that number, and that was the most he's thrown. He threw 6 in 2022, 6 in 2023, and then they went to the SEC and it jumps up to 12. And yes, that's still some tips, that's everything else. But you're just playing better teams. Mm-hmm. Yeah, on a weekly basis, you're playing better teams, you're playing better defenses. So it goes up. So, some of those numbers could be a little bit higher. Where do you put that interception number for Arch Manning?
Yeah, I'm kind of along the same lines as you. I think that, he's probably going to be prone to throwing another a little bit more risk. He's going to take a little bit more risk, I think, as a starting quarterback. I think that he's going to try and push the ball downfield a little bit more, fit the ball into some tighter windows a little bit more often. And sometimes that can result in, a couple more interceptions here and there. I think if he keeps it like 10 or under, then you're going to be fine. I think that you're 100% right about the running game. I think that that's going to kind of eat into his stats a little bit because they are going to try and be a little bit more assertive on the ground. They're going to try and run the ball more, control the clock more. I think that, and I'll get to some of that stuff here in a second too, but I think that the numbers you really have to look at for Arch next year aren't necessarily the total yards through the air, not necessarily the touchdowns. It's the completion percentage, it's the efficiency, it's the quarterback rating, and it's the interceptions. And I think that if he, completes around 65% of his passes, keeps the interceptions to 10 or less, hopefully, 8 or less, then the other numbers are going to kind of come and they're going to come out. But they're going to hit some big plays with him at quarterback that they wouldn't hit with Quinn Ewers last year. There's also going to be a little bit more risk involved in that, and it could result in some turnovers. So, and you're also right. This is a younger receiver group. It's going to be a little bit incumbent upon them to help out Arch too. Whereas last year, you had Matthew Golden to bail you out in big situations. You had Gunnar Helm to bail you out in big situations. You don't necessarily have that certainty that you're going to have that player right now. We think Jack Endries is going to be that. We think DeAndre Moore and Ryan Wingo are going to be that, but we haven't seen it yet. So if it all comes together, I think that your stat line that you put out there of, let's say, 3,200, 3,300 yards, 20 to 25 touchdowns, about 7 interceptions, I think that's a great year for Arch.
Yeah, I think it's a fantastic year for Arch, and I think that's a year that gets you right where you want to be. Like all that puts you right where you want to be as a team. And we can go, the O-line could be an issue. I think there's some facts in that it's another big question about Arch Manning that we don't get brought up enough. And it was a thing for Quinn Ewers that for whatever reason, and I guarantee it's one of the reasons some teams didn't look at him the same way. We know because good draft analysts brought this up. Quinn Ewers has some of the worst pocket presence imaginable. And it's a really hard thing to train somebody to feel a sack. Because it's not about, you're trying to be prepared for it. But like Patrick Mahomes has some of the best sack avoidance imaginable, right? He's somebody that ball, like you see a guy, and there's enough plays where you see a guy being like, I'm about to light him up. And right as he's about to hit him, he's already spinning. And the guy hits the ground. And Patrick Mahomes is starting to walk away. And he does that. And Quinn Ewers, while he's being hit, still doesn't seem like he knows he's about to be hit. And it's just, it's just really hard because it's so hard to teach. So this is the thing. They try and train you about that. They try and train you to be aware of your surroundings. It's harder on the road than at home because you can't hear anything. And so all this noise is going on. And, Arch has kind of been trained about it his whole life. He's got Peyton, he's got Eli, who are not mobile quarterbacks. So it's very important for them to know what's happening and what's going on. The great Peyton Manning play of all time with audio, when Donald Brown misses a block. You just see Peyton Manning go back, sees Donald Brown miss a block, and he goes, damn it, Donald, and just starts running. So that's they've talked about it, but we haven't really seen Arch Manning be under pressure. We'll see it in week 1, and we'll see how they deal with it. We see a bunch of people on the chat right now talking about the O-line being an issue. Is the O-line an issue that he does have to have that pocket presence? No, if he does, that changes things a little bit because Quinn Ewers was not a wiggle out of a sack and go guy. Quinn Ewers was if I think they're coming, if I count in my brain to 5 seconds, I'm running, whether there's a rush or not. But if I think that guy's coming and Kelvin Banks is still holding him, I have to take off because I don't know if he's coming. We need to see what Arch has in that because that changes things a lot. Because now if he doesn't, that means he may be throwing on the run more. That boosts up your interceptions if you throw on the run. It just does. It's very hard to throw an accurate ball on the run. No matter how much you train it, the best players who do it still throw some picks doing it. So those types of issues, we won't know until week 1, week 4, week 5. We won't really get that about his real pocket presence under pressure. when we see somebody win at the offensive line. So how much the offensive line is really a major issue is going to take a little bit of time. I also said I think Sark tries to go quick out of the hands a lot early with Arch. Let's not even find out. Let's get that ball out. Let's kind of disparage their pass rush, make them drop back a little bit more. Don't try and get them, and then send Arch out on a run and just really try and disparage their pass rush from rushing too many times. I could see that against Ohio State, but you can't really do that all season.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I think that the Ohio State game specifically is going to be a lot of quick decisions. One read, get the ball out of his hands early. Don't mess with the pass rush. And I get that a lot of people think that the offensive line is going to be an issue, and I understand those concerns. Most of what you're hearing about the offensive line is happening within camp. I think that you kind of need to take that with a little bit of a grain of salt. Like, yes, it's an inexperienced offensive line. They are very talented, but there's not a lot of experience there overall. Every single day, they're going up against the best pass rush in college football. So there's going to be a little bit of a variance to how well they can hold up from week to week as opposed to facing off against the Texas front seven. So that's just something to keep in mind. I totally understand the concerns, and it's something that I will be watching very closely, but I wouldn't be doom and gloom about it necessarily. A lot of what this offense does is going to be predicated on the running game and situational football. It's not just going to be a lot of, let Arch drop back and sling it around the yard. It was never like that with Quinn. It's never going to be like that with Arch. As much as he has those tools in his bag, that's not how Sark likes to approach the offense, especially when you get to the fourth quarter. I was told today by somebody that I really believe knows a lot of football that if CJ Baxter is 90% of what he was in 2023, then Texas will win every game that they play that they have a lead in the fourth quarter, because they will be controlling the clock, staying ahead of schedule, and just running the football down people's throats. The coaching staff believes the offensive line will be able to do that.
Yeah.
So maybe that affects Arch's stats a little bit. If you have a lead in the fourth quarter, you're just controlling the clock and you're running the football and you're staying ahead of the chains and you're not trying to do too much through the air. Whereas with Quinn, a lot of his production had to come in the fourth quarter in closer games and all this stuff. I don't necessarily think it's going to be the same one-to-one comparison with Arch in this season. It will depend on the running back staying healthy, obviously, but at the end of the day, it's going to be a different offense than we saw last year, but I don't think it's going to be a whole hell of a lot different in terms of their priorities and their decisions on quick stuff and just staying ahead of the chains. Sark likes to take risks down the field. He doesn't like to do it a lot. I don't think that's necessarily going to change with Arch. Maybe Arch will read things a little bit differently and take a few risks on his own, which Sark will be fine with. But this is very much a ball control, stay on schedule type of offense, and that's going to affect Arch's stats in one way or the other.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I was trying to look up Mac Jones' number because, Mac Jones' number is what I just looked up in 2020 with Sark. That is your primo, grade A, Heisman Trophy winning season for Arch Manning. If he has Mac Jones' numbers, Mac Jones had 4,500 yards and 41 touchdowns with 4 interceptions. That's a heck of a season.
Yeah.
So, you're not putting up those numbers, clearly. But I think a Sark offense we saw last season even, a lot of games ended with Texas running the football. And it was a thing last season that, every time it happened, went back on the airwaves and was like, that's what makes you a championship team. That's what puts you in a position to really win, is when you can put things when you put it out of reach and just go first down. That's why Trey Wisner was so important late in the season, because he was a big piece of that. And Trey Wisner was a dude that maybe, had 40 yards going into the fourth quarter and then just kept the ball for 9 minutes straight. And they win Texas. And then you kicked the field goal, but it took you 9 minutes to kick a field goal and they're down by 2 scores. You're not going to win. We can just hold it. And now that you can rotate running backs more, if those two guys are both healthy, in Trey Wisner and CJ Baxter, and you're able to rotate running backs, I mean, it's just going to be brutal in those fourth quarters. So again, yeah, I'm with you. I think those numbers are going to be lower because you're not just throwing the ball out. When we look at their schedule, you go Ohio State, probably you'll not be able to do that. You know, you're going to run the ball some, but you're probably still going to have a fight in the fourth quarter. Georgia, you'll have a fight in the fourth quarter. But, you know, Florida, you could be ahead, score 2 scores. Like a lot of these games, you could be ahead, score 2 scores. And, you know, and then just put it away in a time where a lot of teams come back. A lot of times you get that hero ball. Your defense is supposed to still be elite. Your running back should still be elite. I know the offensive line isn't thought to be there yet, but that's just, we haven't seen them yet. We know they're really, really talented players. It's just cohesive. And I don't really have the reason not to believe the offensive line is going to be good. I have, you know, you have fears of it, but no logical reason to sit there and go, these guys won't be ready, because there's not anybody on that line that, you know, has screwed up yet.
Yeah. So I'm glad that we're talking about this fourth quarter stuff too, because last night I got home from dinner and I was in Austin with my parents, and I walked into the living room and my dad was watching last year's Arkansas game. And I think that I sat there and I watched the fourth quarter with him. And I think that is kind of the perfect example of what we're talking about here. Texas was up 13-7 in the fourth quarter. Arkansas got a field goal late. Texas got the ball back, and they just ran the ball down their throats with Jaden Blue and Trey Wisner, and got in position at the goal line, and then scored a touchdown with Matthew Golden. The next drive, Texas forces a turnover. They get the ball back, and they just bleed out the clock running the football with Jaden Blue and Trey Wisner. And I think you're going to see a lot of that this year, where maybe there's some games like, you know, maybe it is Florida, maybe it's Oklahoma, maybe it's one of these other SEC games where you're in a tight game in the fourth quarter, and it's been a defensive struggle for quite some time. But your offensive line is going to get a push. You're going to run the football. You're going to control the clock, and you're just going to bleed it out and make them and wear them down. And I think that's going to be a lot of what Texas does this year. I think that Sark takes a lot of pride in being able to do that, and I think these players are going to take a lot of pride in being able to do that. And it's just going to be about hitting the plays at the right spots instead of slinging the football all around the yard, regardless of the opponent.
Yeah, it does feel. You know, that again was one of the conversations of when we talk about not living lives in superlatives and hyperbole, is the Arch Manning. You go, what's the worst? And you saw it last year with Quinn. He didn't have a great season, but he also didn't have a terrible season. And that is a first year against the SEC, a conference that now thinks that you were being rude by not losing to them. A conference thought it was very rude to come in and be okay and be pretty good at football. And so, like, but that was with injuries, with everything else, Sark realizing we have to pull back on him a little bit. We have to pull back. We have to find the right passes. We have to use what we have really well, which is Matthew Golden. And he's going to be amazing for us this season, getting across the middle, because he had seen Matthew Golden play for Houston against Texas and saw him just eat Texas alive over the middle. He was like, all right, we can kind of do that with Quinn. And we can do all these other things that Quinn, that's right, his bread and butter. He's not going to have to chunk it downfield and hurt himself worse. And he was able to pull that off. And I think with Arch, it's going to be kind of a battle for Arch to get that trust fully up and to get Sark to really believe we're just going to let you go out there and fling the ball around. I think that's going to take a lot of time and him being really, really good. So it's just going to be a minute before he becomes world beater. But I mean, that's the upside of it. If you want to say where the potential is he does get Sark's trust. He is great. He is have all that stuff. Mike says, I think Arch has superhero mode, and we all do, but we haven't really seen it yet because he hasn't played against a team that you say, can you go superhero against? He didn't do it against Georgia. I mean, I don't know if anybody could have how bad Texas was playing overall in that first half against Georgia, but we haven't seen that yet of him. So we don't know if he does or not, because it isn't until you get in those situations and you really start having to push yourself.
Yeah. A couple things. First of all, Mike, I understand they had a horrible scrimmage. I would be careful how much you read into that. It's for one thing, it's one scrimmage, and it's their first time, going up in a game type, situation against a really good front seven. So I think that's going to kind of even itself out. You can sit here on the one side with the doom and gloom, and you can sit here on the other side of being totally homer about it. I think it's probably going to be somewhere in the middle, and you're going to be fine that way. So I wouldn't freak out about the offensive line just yet. In terms of, yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I'll also throw this in there. I don't necessarily think that they were a horrible scrimmage. I think they had a bad scrimmage. I think they had a lot of pre-snap penalties, and I think there was a lot of things they need to work on. I think horrible is probably a little bit more over on they specifically went after him really, really hard in this game. And they're going to go after him hard in real games too. But I think with a really good front seven, Sark said, we need to test them, and we need to beat them down a little bit early. We need to get them so they understand what you're going to be going up against again the best. And then we're going to start pulling it back and giving them better game plans and getting them where they need to be. But we need them to understand what we mean. And so that felt more of a message being sent to me.
Yeah, absolutely. And Ewers did not regress under Sarkisian. I hate this narrative because in 2024, Quinn had the third best season that a Texas quarterback has ever had statistically. He threw for almost 3,500 yards and 31 touchdowns, and his interception numbers were up a bit, and that's a little bit, give and take on the tips and the drop ball, like the balls that bounced off receivers' hands and things like that, but they're interceptions at the end of the day. I understand. I don't think that you can even take what Quinn did with Sarkisian and really apply it to what they're going to do, what Arch is going to do, because they're two totally different players and they're going to make different decisions in different situations. Like in the college football playoff last year against Arizona State, could Arch have noticed and made that adjustment on the 4th and 13 to hit Matthew Golden over the top and bring Gunnar Helm in to chip the extra blocker so that he had the time to make that throw? We don't know. He could have, but we don't know. We know that Sark trusted him to do that because he did it and he allowed him to do it. So I think that, Patrick is absolutely on point here. We just need to kind of temper what we think statistically represents a successful season for Arch Manning. And if you're going to see Arch explode with stats and throw for 4,500 yards and 40 touchdowns and all that stuff is probably going to come in 2026 in his second year as a starter, not in year one when he's still getting his legs under him as a first-time starting quarterback. And just because he doesn't hit those kinds of numbers or even the numbers that Quinn did last year doesn't mean it's a failure of a season. It just means that he's had a good season as his first year as a starting quarterback in the SEC, and that's okay.
Yeah. And by the way, the regression thing is just funny because you're like, he went to the SEC and he tore his oblique in week 1. He was hurt in a much better conference. So I don't think he regressed so much as they went to the SEC instead of being in the Big 12. And so there's going to be better teams you play against. And he was hurt. So it's a skewed sample size. In a science experiment, you'd have to throw it all out because of what happened.
And let's not forget, in the SEC championship game against what might have been it is the Georgia defense is a defense that is built to stop the Texas Longhorns.
Yeah.
Nobody knows how to slow down Steve Sarkisian better than Kirby Smart. Nobody knows defense better than Kirby Smart. Quinn Ewers threw for 350 yards in that game. He did everything he possibly could have done in that game to get them in a position to win. Scholarship Burt missed a couple field goals, and Gunnar Stockton came out of nowhere. That's why they lost that game.
Yeah.
It's, there's so many different variables that go into football, and the quarterback always gets all the praise and he always gets all the blame. And the realistic scenario here is that Arch is somewhere in the middle of a Lenora Sellers freshman season and a Colt McCoy freshman season. And and that is going to be enough to get Texas where they want to go at the end of the day because of all the talent they have on defense and all the talent that they have surrounding him in the running game and at wide receiver and all those things.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. But I just want to temper a little bit more. I get we're getting there. We're getting to week 1. And this is the reason why I really want to temper it for everybody. is I understand what happened with Quinn Ewers. And the reason why we got to the mass hatred of Quinn Ewers by the end of it, by a lot of people, not everybody, was because the expectations were this is the greatest recruit in the history of college football coming to Texas. He is going to bring Texas back. And not only that, he can win 3 Heismans before he leaves. He's going to be that type of player. And he wasn't. He was really good. He just wasn't that type of player. And so I think that was the expectations became the crux of Quinn Ewers' entire career. Well, you're not the greatest ever, so you must be a failure. And that wasn't true. And so for Arch, as we go into year 1 as a starter, let's not do that to him too. Let's not, after week 6 of this season, go, well, he's not on pace to hit 4,000 yards. Like, why did we get up and like Sark? Should we fire Sark over this? Should we get rid of Kyle Flood? Should we throw everything in the trash because Arch is not 4,000 yards? Is it Arch? Can we not recruit? These are the conversations that will happen because inevitably he will not be on pace to hit 4,000 yards by the time we get there. Because hopefully he only plays a half of 3 of those games.
Right.
By the way, I'm hoping I'm hoping he gets pulled out week 1 like Quinn did. That now we know is probably a little bit more of an injury thing. But that was like, I hope he doesn't have to play I hope we're up by Ohio State by 45 points and we get to try somebody else.
I was just going to answer a couple of these questions from Sooner Cowboys. Do I think the schedule is tougher compared to last year? I do. I think it is tougher because you're on the road at Georgia. You're on the road at Ohio State. You play 5 teams that are AP top 25 teams in the preseason. You're on the road for the entire month of October, which is going to be a grind. And almost every team that you played last year, with the exception of Kentucky and Mississippi State, that you're playing again this year, are better football teams.
Yeah, that's
yeah. I mean, I think that you probably can't say that necessarily about Ohio State, but they're still a very good football team. You didn't play them last year.
The SEC team. The teams you played last year.
Yeah. Florida's a better Florida's a better football team. That's a really tough place to play. Oklahoma's a better football team. Vanderbilt's a better football team. Texas A&M is a much better football team. Arkansas, maybe they're not, but at the end of the day, yeah. I mean, I think that this is a very tough schedule, the way that it lines up, and it's much tougher than it was last season, and that's fine. I still think they're going to be able to navigate it. And in terms of the experience last year, a bunch of new starters going into this year with a tougher schedule. I mean, I think you obviously would rather have the experience. Like you would rather have Matthew Golden returning to this team. You would rather have Cameron Williams returning at right tackle and those kinds of things. But like at the end of the day, that's just how college football works. And if you're a really successful football team, you're going to be putting a bunch of guys in the NFL, and every year you're going to have to get these new guys ready to go, and that's fine. I'll say this: Texas in 2004 had Cedric Benson at running back and Vince Young at quarterback, and they didn't win a national championship. I mean, Cedric Benson's a Doak Walker Award winner. They had Jamal Charles and Ramon Taylor and Selvin Young, kind of a running back by committee approach at running back. And they had to replace a bunch of players on that football team, and they were amazing, and they went undefeated and won a national championship. So experience is extremely important. But if you're a good program and you're doing things the right way, then that's not something that slows you down. The age-old saying, you don't rebuild, you reload. And I think that that's what this team is doing. They're just reloading, and we haven't seen a lot of them yet, so it is a cause for concern before the season starts. But once you get to SEC play, I think you're going to feel a hell of a lot better about it.
Yeah. No, I mean, the schedule's tougher. You always want experience, but that is college football. Like, that's the entire point of it, is that you can't run roughshod for 10 years. I mean, now some teams tried to, but most of those guys who lasted so long transferred a bunch. There's very few players that played on one team. That's like Zakai Ziegler from Tennessee, who played 36 seasons. I saw the thing. Tennessee changed from Nike to Adidas, and they put up a picture of Zakai Ziegler on the thing. I was like, has he been there since they were like? Has he been both of them?
Jalen Catalon's another one.
Yeah, but Catalan transfer. That's like Zakai Ziegler was just like Tennessee.
Oh, he was.
Yeah, I think he was there. I know he was there forever because every time he would watch Tennessee, he played. Like, I feel like I was still in high school when this guy went in. But yeah, no, you always want the experience. You just don't always get it. And so you put it back together. You have an offensive line. The good news is our team is way deeper than it was. And so we had experience, but those guys had to play every snap because we didn't necessarily have guys behind them. And now there's more and more guys behind them, and especially on the defensive end of the ball. There's tons more players. You're not necessarily so beholden to if one guy goes down, season's over. There's more and more. Now, there are some of those guys, knock on wood, that would not be very good for Texas if they go down. But you just have a lot more depth overall on this team right now. So that all being said, I think we're still on the same page. Temper expectations for Arch Manning. I'll stand by. This is where I think he's going to be. I think he's going to be 3,200, 3,300 yards. I think he's going to be passing. I think he'll probably add about another 450, 500 on the ground. You put him around 20 to 25 touchdowns, between 7 to 10 interceptions. I think is around where you're probably going to put Arch, and that'll put you in a position where you need to be. And, some of those interceptions are going to be coming in games where it's not really a big deal, because Sark's going to test him out a little bit more.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think those are totally reasonable expectations.
And Sooner Cowboys, OU played, but OU sucked last year. They didn't have a quarterback. If you don't have a quarterback, you're kind of screwed overall. And they just didn't have an offense last season. So their defense was there. They just didn't have an offense. So at the end of the team, it didn't matter really about the other teams as much. They lost enough games by themselves. So they will be a much better team this year.
They didn't have a quarterback. They didn't have wide receivers for a lot of the season. The offensive line was having issues. That's why they lost those football games. Those things are all expected to be better for them this year, obviously. So, OU is probably going to be a much better football team, which is, I get that, Sooner Cowboys, but you also have to take into account your team's deficiencies last year as to why you lost those football games. It's everybody has to change. Everybody's roster changes every season.
Yeah.
That's just how it works. That's how college football goes. That's why recruiting is so important, because you're building the depth of your roster rather than, going all in on one season and then the next year you're 5-7.
Yeah. No, and Sark hasn't been able to. So, like, Sark's first seasons, he focused all on offense, and now he started bringing a defense, and now they have a top-ranked defense. Brent Venables came in and fixed the defense as a defensive coach. He made sure that defense was really good, because Lincoln Riley didn't give a damn about defense. That's why he didn't want to go to the SEC. That's why he was failed on the team. So Brent Venables fixed the defense, and then while doing that, the offense suffered. He has since been trying to fix the offense and bring it back in with transfers. Jaden Knott, John McClain are two of your top-tier guys. You've also got a bunch of recruits at the offensive line. So all that stuff is being fixed. It is a process to fix it. Do I think Texas is still going to whoop the shit out of Oklahoma? Yeah, I do. But I think you're on a right path to be much better than we were a year ago, because, it was. The offense was garbage last year. So you guys beat yourself way more times than you want, because anybody who leaves a defense on the field, no matter how good they are, it's going to end in catastrophe at some point.
And I also want to say, you played a lot. You say, you played a lot of loaded, experienced rosters last year with a bad QB, and you list Ole Miss and South Carolina in that group. That's just factually incorrect. That's Lenora Sellers and Jackson Dart. Jackson Dart's first round pick.
Yeah.
Lenora Sellers is the best quarterback in the
Tennessee.
country. Yeah.
Nico was in Tennessee. He was still really good last season. Jackson Dart is a first round pick. South Carolina's Lenora Sellers.
Yeah.
Yeah, all those are really good quarterbacks. But we'll go into it. Shout out to my man Chan on the text line. He says, realistically for Arch, 60% pass completion, 6 turnovers maximum, my humble opinion. And I'm counting on Sark to run the ball to use other talents. It's not all on Arch. I agree. That's what we're saying. I expect all those guys to run the ball better. I expect them to run the ball. I expect them to get a lot of yards on the ground. I'm expecting Arch to have a really good season, but I'm not expecting the world out of him. It's what I said what I have to tell people when I was watching games with people, and they'd be like, just put in Arch. Like, Arch is not God. Stop doing this to him. You guys are doing this, and you're doing it to yourselves. It's not going to really affect at the end of the day what he's doing. but it is going to affect you and your enjoyment of watching football if you're always looking for a savior.
Everybody's got a bunch of transfers. That's college football.
Yep. That is college football. Sooner Cowboys, you don't have to describe last year either. Like, it was just a down year for y'all. Now, if you're bad again this year, it becomes a problem. But last year it was just a down year. It happens. It's not the end of the world.
And all four of those teams you listed had good quarterbacks. So I don't know what your point is.
Oh, and also I'll throw this one into you also, Sooner Cowboys. The good news is they think you were being respectful by losing to them, though. So they do like you for being quiet and being respectful, which is the most offensive thing anybody has said in a long time. Hey, we appreciate OU. They didn't do anything, so we're happy. We like them. So offensive. I did want to hit this real quick, too, before we take a break. It's a down year. It happens. Texas had like 12 of them in a row. It happens. There are down years for people. And Texas had, Texas, when Sark came in, it took time to be rebuilt. I get it. I still think Texas is better than Oklahoma because I think we're a few years ahead of y'all. And I think we have a better coach than you. I think Brent Venables is a hell of a defensive coach. I just don't know if he's a head coach yet. We'll find out this season how much better he gets at it here in the SEC. I want to hit up the AP poll for a minute. I know you talked about it on Monday, but I was not here, so I wanted to hit it up again with you today. And just kind of go through like we did with the coaches poll for who we think maybe doesn't make it, who we think really shouldn't have been ranked, maybe who's not going to finish this season there, who we think should be in this one, where we think is, overranked, underranked on this poll. We've kind of already gone through the same of the top 10 is roughly the same as the coaches poll. As we get in there, Alabama and LSU maybe a little bit higher on this one. Do you put Alabama or LSU as an 8-9 team in the country, Matt?
I do. Yeah, I think they've both earned that for sure. I think that Alabama's probably a step ahead of LSU, but I think that they're both top 10 teams, especially considering the fact that quarterback is the most important position on the field, and LSU they have one of the three best in the country, so you got to give them a little credit there.
We do see Illinois and Indiana on this poll as well, with Illinois coming in at the 12 spot. I don't like rewarding teams for having bad schedules and ranking them so high early. Like, the only reason we think Illinois will be good is because of their schedule. It's not because of their roster, really. It's because of the schedule. That's why we're predicting them to finish the season well. So when we put them at 12 to start the season, we already put them here. It just doesn't, I don't get it. I don't get why you go, well, we don't really think you guys are the 12th best team in the country. Nobody thinks that. We all think you could finish in the top 12 because you don't play anybody and you play in the Big Ten. Those are two different things. And yet somehow arbitrarily they end up in the top 12. I don't know when we look at this talent and say, oh yeah, we think you're better than South Carolina. We think you're better than Florida. Like, I think South Carolina beats them by 30.
Yeah. I think you could. I think you could say the same thing about Michigan. I think you could say the same thing about a couple of the teams in this top 25, but Illinois especially. Start them in the 20 to 25 range. I think that's fine. By the way they ended the season last year, and they had a little bit of hype, but there's a reason that what's his name? Brett Bielema is on his third coaching stop in the last 12 years. Like, I don't have a lot of faith in him. I don't have a lot of faith in that football team. They don't play a lot of good teams. But at the end of the day, it's going to be a situation where, the rankings are going to be redone by the College Football Playoff Committee.
Yeah.
So if we see the eye test with Illinois, then they're probably going to drop a little farther than they would in a preseason AP poll, which at the end of the day doesn't mean a whole lot.
It's just, I giving them credit before they've really done anything for a roster that, and they're like, well, they're the fourth best team in the Big 12 or the Big 10. So we got the third best team, or where they have them ranked as. So we got to give them, but you're like, when are we going to see it? I mean, what are they going to have to beat Duke by, I guess that Indiana game, week 4? Is that where we're going to see it? If they beat Indiana, who's ranked 20th, if they beat them by 2 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns, that we can say they really belong to be in that top 15.
But I mean, I don't know, because I don't think Indiana's a very good football team.
I know, but I'm just trying to figure out, because other than that, it's like, well, you lose to Ohio State, we don't have much of another judger on here. You play USC, you play Wisconsin. There's just, I think the reason that the reason why we have them in the playoffs, or I have them in the playoffs, is because they're going to lose one game to Ohio State most likely, and win some other close ones, but they don't play anybody.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think that they're far too high, and they're being rewarded for things that are, that don't really have anything to do with their football team by itself, and I think that that's a big issue.
Anybody else stand out on this list to you as somebody you don't feel should be in the top 25, or somebody else you feel maybe got ranked way too low?
I think Texas Tech is probably a little low. I understand that, that kind of is what it is, because they've got a bunch of new they got a bunch of new pieces. I think A&M's a little low. I think Kansas State's a little high, and I think Michigan is far too high. I also think Miami's probably a little high, but I mean, Michigan was what, a 6-6, 7-5 team last year, something like that, and now they're starting a true freshman quarterback, and they still have the same head coach and all this stuff. It's like I don't understand why there's so much hype surrounding them as a top 15 team. I don't get it. I think Oklahoma is going to, what do they play, week 2 or week 3? I think Oklahoma is going to beat their brains in.
I'm curious to see it, because I just haven't followed Michigan close enough to really know how much they've reloaded. We know they have the young phenom quarterback in Bryce Underwood, and so they'll be better offensively because, I mean, again, they didn't have any quarterback play last year, but they're another year away from Harbaugh too. They're another year away from that national championship roster. So, are you able to reload with Sharon Moore? Were you able to get some new pieces? Is your player development still there? All the things going right for you that can kind of get you back in that mode of being a competitive, just a 10-win team. I'm not even saying national championship team, but it's back to a 10-win team, back to that level of like, okay, we're back competing. We can go again. I just don't know. I haven't paid enough attention. And it's really, I mean, a ton of it's going to rely on Bryce Underwood being the dude. And none of us know if he's, we won't know that one until the Oklahoma game either, if he's really going to come out there and play against a really good Brent Venables defense.
We probably really won't know that until the middle of the season, honestly. Because you can't really take one game as whether or not he's going to be a good football player.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is
this season.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm not disagreeing with you necessarily. I think that there is so much being put on his shoulders for Michigan to be this ranked this high, that I think it's very much, projections and star chasing and all of this stuff. Like I don't understand how you can put a team in the top 15 whose starting quarterback has never taken a college snap.
I mean, I could get it if the rest of the team was better last year. Like if the team was a top 10 team last year and you replaced a quarterback who's never taken a snap, but they were a top 10 team and you're just going in with a freshman that you believe in, I can take that and still go your top 15. But I can't do it. It just feels like they're trying to shoehorn Big Ten in a little bit more, doesn't it?
It does. It really does, because this is a team that, they lost to Illinois, they lost to Washington, they barely beat Michigan State, they got blown out by Oregon, they lost to Indiana, and they beat Ohio State 13-10, and yeah, they beat Alabama in the ReliaQuest Bowl, which I don't think Alabama was necessarily hyped to be in. So, there's just a lot of games in there that I just don't, from just based on last season, that and they lost so much, and I don't know how you can project them that high. Top 20, sure, but top 15 just seems a little lofty.
Yeah, to me, it feels like one of those pieces when you're filling it out and you're like, okay, well, I've got 8 SEC teams in the top 15. I need to even that out. Like, I can't put 8 in the top 15. I don't want to do that. So, all right, let me throw in some more Big Ten teams. Who do we have in the Big Ten? Oh crap, there's 3 teams in the Big Ten. All right, well, Illinois is going to finish the season good because they don't play anybody, so we'll put them in there, and I won't look like an idiot at the end of the season if I put Illinois to start, because the way of them not being in the top 25 at the end of the season, I don't know what games you got to lose to do that one for them. Because you can be a 3-4 loss Illinois team. Things went really, really, really wrong. But You're like, okay, I can put them there. And then you put Michigan just because it's a big name because you don't want to put Indiana in there. And so then you get later into 20 and you're like, I mean, another Big Ten team. But I mean, it just feels like they were trying to even it out a little bit more in some of their polls to, make it, and maybe through some Big Ten people who voted in this who really do believe that the Big Ten is that stacked. They watch every game. They maybe don't watch enough SEC football or Big Ten football or Big 12 football or ACC football. And they just feel, no, man, I saw the greatness in them in one game. I think they'll be better. So, I mean, it felt like that to me when we got it overall. We know the Big Ten hype has been real. They got the number 2 and number 3 team in Penn State and Ohio State. And Penn State was right there with Texas. I mean, their point totals are like right next to each other. They're 5 points behind Texas for the number 1 place in the poll, so it's not a big piece. Now, Texas wins week 1. I think that'll shoot up dramatically more. But it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see which one of these teams. The SEC Big Ten rivalry feels more real now than ever because the Big Ten really tried to put it all out there and say that they're right there and they're a super conference and they're ready to go. And unfortunately for them, the teams they brought in from the Pac-10, Oregon's really the only one hanging on. USC is completely falling off right now. So it just doesn't feel like that was the move to make them as much of a power conference as the SEC bring in Texas and Oklahoma, who are both in the top 25 for the AP. And one of them's number 1. So it feels like the super conference mode didn't go the way the Big Ten wanted, but they're still trying to work that narrative a little bit more.
Yeah, and it's I think we'll know a lot more by kind of the middle of the season when these Big Ten teams start to face each other. Like, I'm not talking about Ohio State or Oregon or I'm not talking about Ohio State or Oregon. I'm talking about or Penn State. I'm talking about the rest. Like, what's the variance in those scores when Illinois is going up against USC or Indiana is going up against let me look at Indiana's schedule real quick. Indiana is going up against Iowa or UCLA or something like that. Like, what do those games look like? Do they eat each other alive? I think that's a very realistic scenario. Maybe not for the top 3 in the Big Ten or the top 4 in the Big Ten, but for the rest of it. Whereas I feel like the SEC is going to have a lot more. By the end of the season, the SEC is going to have the vast majority of the top 10 teams. I feel like, but we'll just kind of have to see how it goes. I don't believe in the Big Ten strength in depth at all.
No, I don't either. And Joe said Kentucky had a 4th non-con game for Kent State. They can get in and out of those games enough, though. So I'm sure they added one just to make sure they got somebody they liked in there. But they can, if they were to change it, they're not going to change it. There's really no path right now where I think they go to 9 conference games. And they were probably more likely to go to it before the Big Ten made an ultimatum.
Mm-hmm.
When you get in a fight and this person's like gives you something that you were already going to do. And then you're like, well, now I can't even do that. You're like, you know what you need to do? You need to go out and wash your car too. And you're like, well, I was planning on washing my car tomorrow, but now I can't because then it seems like you had the idea. So it feels like maybe the SEC's even in that world. I can't imagine them changing it next year because it gives the Big Ten a victory and they don't want to give the Big Ten any victories. And more than anything, the SEC really just wants to win a national championship again because then we can shut the Big Ten up once and for all. So and those all be the fun pieces. Why don't we take a quick break here, Matt? We'll come back, midweek movie review coming up after the break, some NFL talk as well, since it's going to be your last day here on the show this week. We'll have some cool guest hosts coming up later this week here on Open Gym, but get kind of what you're looking forward to this weekend of what you want to see out of your Cowboys, what we want to see out of the Texans. I want to get into that a little bit as well, talk some NFL with you. But our midweek movie review coming up after this break. Of course, anything you guys want to keep talking about, we'll keep going back to the chat. We always enjoy talking with you at Open Gym. That's what we're all about. It's an open gym for everybody right here on Texas Sports Unfiltered.
Hi, I'm Dan Covert with my wife Hayden. Welcome to Covert BK.
Our newest location in the gorgeous Hill Country includes Buick, GMC, Cadillac, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram, and hundreds of pre-owned and certified vehicles for you to choose from. We have 3 service departments that are ready to take care of your car, truck, or SUV with 86 service bays to accommodate any repair and get you in and out quickly. Come visit us today to select the vehicle you've been dreaming about.
Covert, born and raised in Austin.
Hi, this is Tom McKay, owner of Audiovisual Consultations.
I got this, Dad. This is Camilla McKay, and my dad can help with any TV or stereo needs you have around your house. Just call him, and he will come to you with advice and a great price. And the guys that work for him are awesome. They can install anything, anywhere. So, like my dad says, just relax and smile. We handle all the work.
So just give us a call at 255-8678 or on the web at avconsultations.com.
Say hello to Jason and the gang over at Relax the Back. They embrace a holistic approach for a healthier lifestyle based on 35 years, folks, of proven expertise, and my back couldn't be happier. Their motto is live wellness, and folks, they can transform your routine, your daily routine, into something very, very special if you have back pain. If you're struggling with thoracic problems, if you've got hip problems, if you've got lumbar problems, please go over to one of their stores. They got 2 great locations, and find out a chair or a recliner or a sofa that's going to fit you and going to make your life a whole lot better. I've got this office chair right here that I've been sitting in for years, and I love it. 2 locations, folks, at the Hill Country Gallery across from Whole Foods, and in North Austin at the Gateway Shopping Center across from the Container Store. Live pain-free like the buck and Relax the Back.
SendTexTickets.com. If you're in the market for tickets to any sporting event, any concert, any Broadway show, anything live coming to town, you got to head over to SendTexTickets.com. The best seats to all of the biggest events, not just here in Austin, but all over the state and all over the country as well. It's so easy to use. Just log on your phone or computer to SendTexTickets.com. All of their tickets are 100% guaranteed, and they will be delivered right to your phone or computer. So simple to use, and you're also helping to support a local business every time you shop. SendTexTickets.com. So if you want to be at the biggest events in sports and entertainment, there's only one place to go. It's SendTexTickets.com.
Back here on Open Gym here on Texas Sports Unfiltered on a Wednesday afternoon. Myself, Patty Davis, alongside Matt Galatzan of Texas Longhorns on SI, and as well as you guys in the chat here on Facebook, Twitch, X, and of course on YouTube and over on the text line. 512-222-9328 is where you can hit us up on the text line as well. And Joe, I'm with you. The SEC may have gone the go-ahead. I know nothing was supposed to be really set in stone until the end of the year. That's when they had to tell the TV provider. So who knows where they're really at. My guess is that somebody in there maybe was like, guys, we're not going to change. But also I'm sure they'd be pretty upset if they knew Kentucky leaked it before then. You don't want to let them know. Well, because, when you got to start sending your people up to meet with everybody else and they're like, wait, did y'all just already ignore us? And you're like, yeah, we weren't listening from the beginning. We were never going to do any of that stuff. As we get into hour 2 here on the show, why don't we get into our midweek movie review? Each week we do a movie review here on the show, and we pick a different movie to watch, to enjoy, and Matt tries to class me up a little bit by giving me movies that I would never have watched on my own. And I give Matt movies to rot his brain out because he never would have watched them on his own. We do those. We try not to give scathing 12-minute reviews of why Happy Gilmore is the worst movie. Happy Gilmore 2 is the worst movie ever made, like Skip Bayless apparently did. I did not watch the review, but I saw a thing where Skip Bayless apparently ranted and raved about what a horrible thing, and why would anybody ever watch this, and all this other stuff. That was like, glad Skip Bayless is something that is somehow not in my view anymore. And every once in a while someone's like, remember Skip Bayless was a thing? You're like, it's gross. But our movie this week was The Fighter. Matt picked it out. Matt, what is your review of the movie The Fighter? Came out in 2009. Am I correct? 2010. the
2010,
fighter starring Mark Wahlberg and Christian Bale.
I love this movie right off the bat. I love this movie. I think it's extremely well done. I think there's a good blend of moving drama type stuff and comedy. I think the family dynamic is very interesting. I thought that Christian Bale was absolutely fantastic as the older brother, Dickie Eklund. He's got the drug problem. I thought he just did a fantastic job in that role. I'm not the biggest Mark Wahlberg fan in the world, but I think that he did a pretty good job in this movie, all things considered. I also think that it's a fantastic performance by Amy Adams as well as the kind of love interest type girl in that movie. One of the things that I thought was very cool about it was with Mark Wahlberg specifically, he was friends with Mickey Ward when they were growing up. And so he had a special connection to the movie and he was able to take on that role. And I just thought that was a very cool connection to put into the movie. But yeah, I mean, it's a little longer than I think that I would want it to be, which I'm sure you're going to have an issue with. But overall, just fantastic casting, for fantastic production value, great performances by everyone on the cast, in my opinion. Even the one that played the mother of Christian Bale and Mark Wahlberg, I thought was great. So yeah, I mean, overall, just a really, really well done movie. I thought it deserved the Oscar nominations that it got. I believe on Rotten Tomatoes, it was 91% on the Rotten Tomato meter, 89% with the fans. So everyone really seemed to love it, and I'm right there with it. I would watch this movie again. This is a movie that I like to watch probably once or twice a year. I really, really enjoyed it a lot.
Okay, so this is the thing for movies like this. I don't get it. I don't get why anyone would ever spend their time watching something that is sad and depressing for the entire movie. There's no positivity until the very end. And you're kind of at that point just a broken man who's like, why am I watching this crap? I hate every one of these people with every fiber of my being. I wish this did not exist on earth. These are not good people. Everyone in this is a terrible, terrible person, and they should all go away. And the fact that it's Mark Wahlberg made it worse because he's supposed to be the one likable guy, and it's Mark Wahlberg, who I don't like. So it just made it even harder to be like the one guy you're supposed to feel bad for, and you're like, but it's Mark Wahlberg, and I cannot feel bad for Mark Wahlberg in any form or fashion. So it just, like, I'm not saying it's a bad movie. I couldn't judge it on anything because this is the type of movie that I don't understand what people get out of it. Like, literally, I just watched it for 2 hours being mad that I was having to watch it because there's no positivity that comes out, and I don't understand using time for negativity. There's no beauty in it to me in just being like, man, isn't life terrible? Isn't it just, oh man, all these people, the crack's real, drug addiction. Yeah. People die every day from it. Oh yeah. No, there's terrible parents out there, man. Wow. What a wacky world we live in. I just don't get it whatsoever. And I mean, if someone could clue me into what is the fun of this, but so it was 2 hours that was really, really tough to get through because I kept checking being like, when does something happen? It's literally just one defeat after another and one horrible thing after another for an hour and 45 minutes. And then they go, and then he won. Like, that's it. It's like, yeah, then he won the title. You're like, oh, okay. It's like, did things get better? Like, probably not. Probably it's still awful. Like, his family seems awful. They showed the video of the brother at the end. He seemed insufferable. He seemed like one of the least likable people on the planet. At the end, the real life dude. So just like, I hate everything about this. So it's not, I don't mean to say it's a bad movie. It's everything of what I don't watch movies for. It's why I don't watch anything, is because I don't get it. I just personally, my brain, I don't get it.
I assumed that would be your reaction to the movie because it is a very depressing movie. There are some funny parts in it. I think that,
what was funny in it?
Well, just the some of the stuff with Dickie Eklund I thought was very funny, and like he's just kind of a goofy guy. I get it. Trust me, I get it.
Oh,
I think that the draw of the movie is it's in a certain way. People like to see the main character overcome adversity and overcome a tough family life and get his ultimate goal at the end, despite the obstacles along the way. Yeah. And I think that there's some reward in that. I get that it's very hard to get to or to get through it in certain spots, but for me as a movie person, I don't think that all movies should be uplifting and all good things happen and happiness and all this stuff. I like to see good performances, and I like to see the realistic performances, especially in a biopic type movie. This is really what he went through for the most part. I mean, sure, there's some Hollywoodization to some of it, I'm sure, but this guy really had to overcome all this stuff with his terrible family life and all the bad things going on around him to get to a point where he won the title. And I think that that's a very admirable story to tell, and I really enjoyed that story. But I can certainly understand why you would have an opposite opinion of that, and why it's hard to get through a movie that's just an hour and a half of depression and drugs and family abuse and people treating each other like shit and all that stuff. But I enjoy that stuff.
Yeah.
There's people out there who enjoy watching, these super gory, like body horror type movies. And like, I'll never understand that.
No.
But this kind of like, overcoming adversity type story is just something that I really can like to sink my teeth into.
I get it. This is the other part of it that throws me off, is because every character in this movie is unlikable except for supposed to be Mark Wahlberg. Basically, because even the love interest for a while, then she becomes annoying at a point, even though she's supposed to be. But then you're also like, wait, so who's the movie based on? They're like, oh, the nice guy. You're like, oh, that guy wasn't nice then. 100% that guy's also a problem. Like 1000%. Because that's not how dysfunction works. It's like, well, you were in a town that was dysfunctional with people, their whole family's dysfunctional and all of this, but you were a really good guy the whole time. Like, no, everyone in this movie in real life was probably a real big handful for most people. Like, it just like, because even the scene where he goes and like his brother's getting arrested and he has to go get him, and then the cops break it up, they make it seem like he was pretty nice in that. Like, where he's like, hey, please don't beat up my brother. And they're like, we're going to get you. We're cops. You're like, I have a feeling there was a lot more to that. Just my guess. I don't know. I wasn't there, but I'm going to assume that also he really went after these cops a little bit. And fine, but like, don't play in the movie like he's a saint either. Just be like, no, there's parts of the world and parts of this country where everyone is an interminable, horrible, awful person. And they all think it's okay because they're all that way. They were raised that way and they will continue to be that way. That's fine. And I personally would not like to ever watch that and realize, just trying to block it. I remember it exists. So I get it, man. I understand that people can see the joy in those things. My brain does not try and find any of that. I just try and shut everything off and smile and look forward. It's probably a character flaw in some ways. But that is what, so I like, because I don't want to say it was a bad movie or it was bad acting, because Christian Bale nailed being a really annoying person. He nailed it.
Oh, he was phenomenal. Yeah.
I mean, I think they kind of overshot the fact that he just was able to not do crack for a while and not go through the DTs till prison. That's not quite how that works. But like, overall, it was like, it wasn't bad. It was just, it was just one of those things where I kept being like, normally in a sports movie, we get like there's positive moments, like they pace it. Like, so I'm a comedy guy, and in comedy, you talk about jokes per minute or jokes per, however long. You're trying to keep, you don't want to go too long without throwing something in there, some levity. And man, it just felt like they were like, oh, we forgot the levity. Oh, we forgot the whole thing we wrote. No, at the end he wins though. And we're good. It just felt like that to me. I kept waiting for it, but that's because this is why I don't vote for the Oscars. That and maybe a couple other reasons. But I know it was a very well thought out movie. It just ended up being a piece that was really, once again, cannot get into. I tell you, there's nothing. Those stories are never that inspiring to me, in the sense of I can't identify with any of those people, and I'm like, I don't want to be like you. That's great, you won, but there's nothing in me that thinks, oh, I'm like that guy. I just go, oh no, those people they're in a horrible situation and things are awful. And then they become out of it great. That's great. But also that guy's probably not. And I know the guy who actually is, I think, is like a philanthropist now and does really good things for the country and the city, so like, good on him. but it just I couldn't. That was a tough one today. That was a tough one today for me.
Hey, I mean, to each their own. I really enjoy movies like this. It's just like one of the things for me with movies, and I mean, I like comedy movies. Don't get me wrong. Like I can really get into a good comedy movie and laugh my way through it. But I like movies that kind of, take you through an emotional ride, and they kind of make you think a little bit about stuff. And for me, that's what this movie is. It's just one of those, like, I really hate that they had to go through all that. I'm glad that he was able to come out on top. I do think that it was a little Hollywoodized in the sense of, like, specifically that cop scene, for example. I mean, this guy's a boxer. He's trying to defend his brother. I'm pretty sure he wasn't that nice about it. But, that's just the Hollywood aspect of it. They're trying to make him a likable character and all that stuff, and that's fine. But I thought it was extremely well done, and everybody did a fantastic job. And with the material that they had, especially Christian Bale, I think he was nominated for Best Supporting Actor for this movie, and he deserved it, man. Because he, if you look at him, like, next to the real Dickie Eklund and their mannerisms and the way that they talk and, all of the stuff, he just hit it right on the head. And I think that's what movies are kind of all about, is being able to, especially in biopics, is being able to represent, the characters that you're portraying accurately. And I thought that Christian Bale did a phenomenal job with that.
Oh no, he was insufferable. It was hard to watch. I think I've known too many people like that in my life. Like, I've worked in shadier parts of, I've worked in clubs and doing all this stuff, and I've known those people that can talk their way out of anything in their head. And then everybody else in the room's like, oh yeah, he's just high. It's like, yeah, the guy's just constantly doing stuff, and and then he disappears for 10 minutes, and he'll kind of calm down. Like, he'll be at the bar, and he'll kind of calm down, and then he'll disappear for 10 minutes, and he'll come back in and be like, I forgot to tell you. And you're like, oh God. All right, here we go. And so I just, that's it, too close to home on some of that stuff too. I feel I'm just like, oh man, if I never had to see another person like that in my life, I'd be happy. But yeah, I mean, I always, for me, I think it is, I watch, the news, or you watch whatever in real life, and then you're like, oh yeah, I don't need anything else. This is sad enough. I'm good to go. But I mean, like, it is a piece I could understand, because there's other movies watch, like Friday Night Lights was the first one we watched, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that was one where I just was like, I didn't think the acting was as good in that. I just didn't. I thought it was more contrived. This one wasn't anything more than it was just really depressing.
Yeah,
I think they were going for it to a point. It's just not my thing.
Yeah, and this is why I haven't made you watch The Wrestler again, because it's like the most depressing movie of all time, and I know you're not going to enjoy watching it. So we'll pick something a little bit more lighthearted for next week. How about that?
Yeah, I know we're going, because my pick, so we get to go more lighthearted this week. And then, we'll see if we keep doing this this year. We have to call it if we're going to keep being these. I'm like, I can't put myself through those over and over again, to do that and then try and be happy about sports. So do you know what? This week we're going with a movie, straight 90-minute movie, Matt. Going easy one. We watched Adam Sandler last week, so I'm going to keep watching Adam Sandler. And we're going to go with The Water Boy and get ready for college football.
Bobby Boucher.
We'll get into some. We'll lighten the load back up. Overbearing moms. Still, see, we're continuing the theme of overbearing moms in this. I'm sure they're played the exact same way. We'll see the comparisons between the two, but that is what we'll do next week. Is that's what we'll go into next week here on our midweek movie review. And Chan, I appreciate you understanding my pain and that it's funny. It's funny. Yeah, it's funny that I don't like these things. But yeah, no, just for me, not for me, but I get why. I can understand. Let me put it this way. I understand that I don't get why other people like it, but I understand that people do like it. So there has to be something there. I just will never get what it is. Tried for years and years to understand what the joy in doing things that are painful is. It's like, I don't go see people who just sing songs about sadness and stuff. They're like, oh, but it helps me get. I'm like, I don't. Why? You guys not sad enough in life? Take all of your money and throw it away. All right. Come back to me then. You will find a way to be sadder. I promise you. Let's get in some NFL talk. Just root for the Cowboys for a while. Just really dive into rooting for the Cowboys, and it'll get you there. It's similar.
Yeah, I mean, over the last 25 years, I've probably been the most depressed sports fan in existence with the Cowboys and Ole Miss and the Mavericks, and but at least I don't have one of those teams anymore. So
no, and we saw today Jerry Jones let out the new one when someone asked him, "What is stopping you from talking to Micah and his management or his whatever with Micah and his people?" And Jerry Jones responded, "Nothing." That's it. Just real honest and out there. What's stopping me? Absolutely nothing. But I'm still not going to do it. Guys, we still have 5 days until this contract needs to be signed. We have 5 days to get it done. So in 5 days, on the 18th, right before the Gambler came out, we got the revelation today. They let out earlier that Jerry had a battle with skin cancer for a long time. And you don't wish that on anybody, not even Jerry Jones. You don't wish that on anybody. But I don't know if it's going to buy him the sympathy he wants in this. I don't know if that's the time to drop that one. Just be like, guys, I'm pretty sympathetic. No, Jerry. Still not going to be sympathetic to you. You're okay now? Good? All right, then we can make fun of you again. All right. So I want to make sure you're okay first, Jerry. And then we'll start making fun of you again. Do you take any more of this from Jerry Jones saying that there's nothing holding him back? He just hasn't done it. And is that anything, or are we still just on path that he's just waiting to sign him?
I think that he's just trying to seem like he's in a position of power and that he's in control. And it's not really anything new to me. I'm still of the opinion that he's going to, they're going to get the deal done on August 18th. And then they're going to be the biggest thing in sports when that documentary comes out, even though it has nothing to do with the modern day Cowboys. I knew a couple people who went to the premiere last night, and they said, yeah, it's all about the 90s Cowboys. There's nothing in there about what's going on today currently, but it still should be fun to watch. I'm sure Jerry tries to paint Jimmy as a giant POS, but we'll see how it goes. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to watch, but they will sign that contract on August 18th. I maintain that. That's still my prediction.
We still sign the contract. Micah Parsons is here to tell you should tune into Netflix at midnight tonight and watch The Gambler. I'm gambling on him. But that's it is until we get there, it is going to be a rough ride. It feels like he is continuing to drag everything out. This was the Cowboys' last padded practice, I believe, until they head back to Dallas, get ready for the preseason, get ready for ready for the regular season. No longer on the road in Oxnard. So they're wrapping it up there in Oxnard as well as we start going. Since you're going to be off, Matt, and we have some games coming up this weekend. What are you looking for the Cowboys, who sat everybody last weekend, didn't really go after anybody, didn't let anybody play, including rookies? What are you now looking for the Cowboys in this next preseason game? Are you expecting them to play guys a little bit more? Are you expecting this one to be more the ramp up, or week 3 to be more the ramp up? What are you expecting to see, and what do you want to see?
I would like to see this be a little bit more of the ramp up. I wouldn't expect to see Dak Prescott or CeeDee Lamb or anybody like that. But I think that for me, I think you have to play Tyler Booker. I think you have to play Donovan Ezeraku. I think you have to give Jaden Blue some run. You have to play all these rookies and see what they can do on an NFL football field. That's what I would like to see the most. I'd like to see them open the playbook up a little bit more and not be so vanilla like they were in the first one. But I mean, I think it's the more realistic scenario is you're probably not going to see a lot of that until week 3. I do think Jaden Blue will play this weekend. I do think Tyler Booker will play this weekend, but for the most part, I'm not expecting to see a whole lot. And I expect them to lose because that's just what they're going to do is they're going to lose and they're not going to look very good doing it. And everybody's going to freak out about it. And we're going to be back here on Monday talking about why the Dallas Cowboys are going to go 0-17.
Well, for the record, too, they're playing the Ravens. The Ravens have been a historically really good preseason team that Harbaugh cares more about getting wins out of there, and they just are. through the history. I mean, there was like a season where like 3 or 4 seasons where they didn't lose a preseason game. It was something silly like that. So they historically, Harbaugh has tried to care a little bit more during these pieces, even when not playing starters. He also is notorious for really, really focusing on special teams during the preseason, that he really wants to get them where they're at. But for the Cowboys, I think this is, I want to see guys at least play a couple series. Again, I don't need Dak to do it, but I need CD to do it. I need George Pickens to do it. I need everyone on this roster to get a little work in and start to feel like this season's going to matter, that we are not just playing around, like we are not defending champions, like we're not, going to walk around. You got to remember, you had a terrible season last season. Yes, Dak was out, but it was a terrible season last season. So now what are you going to do? And how do you rebuild? And it just doesn't, like, there hasn't felt like any sense of urgency, any sense of anything out of this Cowboys team yet. And I'm not 100% sold that they're going to do any of that. It feels like, to me, we're probably going to see at most a series out of any of the actual more named players. And then we're going to be the third string before the half.
Yeah, it certainly feels that way.
And I mean, and Joe says, I don't want them to go to 18 regular season games. They need to play less games. I know everybody wants more football. They need to stop playing more and more games. It is not good for the players, which ends up for our playoffs sucking a lot more, and teams just getting easier passes to the playoffs because everyone's hurt on every team. And because again, the playoffs are the best part, and they're hurt because we're just like, we just have to make money. We just have to make more money. We just have to make more money. Guys, we have to make more money. And you don't. You are making billions of dollars. It's fine. Stop trying to make more. I get you're all owned by private equity. Stop for a minute and let us just have it and just enjoy what's there without shoving it further down our throats. So and I agree. We talked about this earlier, Joe. Thursday night games suck. They should be Friday night. If you're going to do it, put it Friday night late, like an 8:30 start, 8:30 start. And that'll be that. Yes, you're going to lose some kids to high school. You're going to lose some of that, but they'll come home and see the second half. But Friday night will be way, way better for it because you get another day in there. Your schedule's not so far off there. I know you can't go to Saturday. I don't think they should go to Saturday because a Saturday game now you're competing with college. I don't want to see that war start. But you can have a war with high school football. There's enough people in this world, I can tell you, who will not be watching high school football on Friday nights and would be fine with a Friday night NFL game.
Yeah, I never thought they should have gone to 17 regular season games. I thought 16 was fine. It's, probably could be less if we're being honest about it. But the Thursday, I've never liked Thursday night games. I don't even know if Friday is the answer. It's certainly better than Thursday. I say you just play 2 Monday night games.
Yeah.
I don't think that there should be any disadvantage for teams that have to play on Thursdays. I think that that's just unfair. Then you have a short week, you're thrown off, then you got to go into the next week, and you got a couple more days the next week, but I don't like it. It's always a weird game, and I hate it.
Well, and the reality is the Thursday night games just normally suck. So even if we want to get out of every other problem about logistics and everything else, how do we make the game better so that we have a product that we're putting out there that everybody wants to watch, that we want to go, man, did you see what happened on Friday night? Now, I think we're already leaning into sports gambling. The later you put it on a Friday night, the more degenerates who are going to be up for it and ready to bet on it. So put it on a Friday night. Get your deal with Amazon gambling that I'm sure will be started in the next 15 minutes, and have your Amazon bet like ESPN bet or whatever else, and let them go. Yeah, and then you play games in Europe as well now. You're playing games overseas where every team's trying to figure out.
By the way,
I fully get that. That makes sense to me of trying for global expansion. Again, it's about making more money. I think they're leaning into it more and more, and it's going to end up biting them. But people keep not agreeing with this, but I'm like, they want to have a team in Europe, and I'm like, that team will never finish more than 5 wins because no one good is ever going to play there. Like, they'll never have a great player there. It'll just be everyone being like, oh, no, I don't want to. Like, look at the Raptors in basketball. That's Toronto. That is not far away from America. and they can't get any stars to come there. They have to trade for everybody and then give them way over market value to get them to stay. It's the only way to do it. And so they can never really get to the top. And the time they did, they traded for Kawhi Leonard, and he immediately left. Yep. So, like those teams, it's just really, really hard to build up stuff with that is a sport based in, that Americans are going to be really, really good at, and then not put it in America. And that's, they're trying to build it with flag football, but we're so far away from that. So I get why you do it sometimes. I think it's great to do it sometimes. If they did 2 or 3 a year throughout the year, and it's like, yeah, go deal with it, but teach, let the players get a little bit of class, make them go out there for 2 weeks so they can learn some stuff about another country and have that. And I'm fine with that. But, and I get they don't want to leave home for 2 weeks either, but make it a little bit more fun. And then that would be fine with me more. But yeah, in the regular season, you never want your team to be the one doing it. You'd always rather other teams do it. So if anything like that, like anything that you say, I'd rather not do it for my team, you might want to try and more get rid of.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I don't know if there's a solution to Thursday night thing specifically. Maybe you give the teams that are playing on Thursday nights a bye the previous Sunday so that they have more time. But the game is just awful. The Europe games are also usually just awful because the teams are totally thrown off by jet lag and they're tired and they don't want to be there, and it's a bad product. I just think we've kind of gotten to a point where everything's kind of growing out of control with the NFL. And we need to kind of bring it back in. No more international games. If you're going to do an international game, do it in Mexico or Canada, and just kind of, bring things back into kind of the way they used to be. That's never going to happen because they make too much money doing it, but I just can't stand watching it.
No. So we get this is our schedule for Thursday night this year, by the way. We got Commanders versus Packers. It's a decent game. You get week 1 too. So it's not necessarily such an early. So that one will probably be the best one of the season because you're coming out of a bye week. Everyone's a bye week from the last game. So you have enough time to prep for it. You're not beat up from the week before. So that'll probably be the best one of the season. Dolphins at Bills. Bills win. Seahawks at Cardinals is not a really good one. 49ers at Rams would be, but this feels like one of those teams is not going to show up. Like Matt Stafford's not playing on that game. He ain't playing on short rest. It's like, so you're like, something's that would be like multiple, and I don't think Ayuk's back by week 5 either. So you're already saying like some of your star players are out. Eagles, Giants isn't going to be good. Steelers, Bengals doesn't seem like it's going to be great. Vikings, Chargers. I mean, that could have been better. I don't know if it's going to be great on a Thursday night. I don't know about that one. Ravens, Dolphins, no. Raiders, Broncos, no. Jets, Patriots, no. Bills, Texans, no. Bears and Eagles, probably not. Cowboys, Lions, I don't think so. Falcons and Buccaneers, no. Rams, Seahawks, no. Broncos, Chiefs. Maybe the Broncos, Chiefs last week of the season, but Chiefs will be sitting, guys.
Yeah, and then, you got to take in the Thanksgiving game into account too. I think the Cowboys are playing the Chiefs.
Yeah.
That might be a decent one.
But that's not Thursday night football. Yeah, that's not Thursday night football, which I go with is the normal indicator. Because the Thanksgiving game is a little bit different too. But yeah, I'm fine with that one happening because it's again once a year. Like things that are kind of 1-offs or 2-offs, I'm a little bit better with. But yeah, the whole season thing, not as much of a fan of. But I'm also shouldn't complain as much about watching football. It's just I wish it was better football. I just want it to be better football is what I'm going for here.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just a bad product, and it pains me to say there's a lot of times where I would have rather watched Tuesday Night Maction than Cardinals and the Bears on a Thursday night when both teams are just ass and they're going to play bad. They suck and they're going to play bad football.
Yeah. No, not a fan of it. Not a fan of it, but we'll get through it but this is somewhat of a Jerry initiative because this originally started with the NFL Network that Jerry really wanted to do and the deal with, what was it, AT&T at the time, that they were going to have the whole deal with him and Jerry and the NFL Network. And then they needed Thursday night games for that. And then they sold it to Prime. So now it's making even more money for the NFL. It is nuts. The capitalism of the NFL is a lot of times the thing. It's in every sport too. It's in every sport where you're like the world of we're in it for the casual fan more than for the real fan. And as people who love the game, you're just like, come on, stop doing that. I did see also that today that the wife of Bob McNair, I can't remember her name, the one of the owners of the Texans, she has come out now, and she is now really leading the charge for flag football now in Texas and trying to get sanctioned in Texas. Flag football. She wants to push it. This has never felt more. My man Rob Babers always put it out there that flag football was the way to try and get more females into the game of football. So with more females into the game of football, they fall more into love of football. So it does expand your audience some. But the big part of it, the long game, the long con by the NFL is that then those women will grow up and have children. And then because of their love for the game, they will be less likely to tell their kid that they cannot play football because of the dangers of it, because they played football. Now they played flag football, but they still love football. They understand it. One of the reasons I don't watch a lot of hockey, I grew up in Austin, Texas. We had like one ice rink here when I was growing up. So I did not play hockey ever. And I couldn't skate or do any of that. So I just never really got into it. So watching it isn't as fun for me because I don't know all the specific strategies of it. So, but if I watch NFL, I know the strategy. If I watch NBA and college ball, I can watch all of that. So they're trying to get women more involved with the strategies of it and understanding the game. And I thought it was funny today that she came out and it's like, this is something we're really trying to do here. And I was like, oh, the NFL's gotten to you. That now they're like, you know what we need? We need a female voice trying to push it because we're really just trying to sell that we need more females to be. And like, God bless, females play flag football all you want. But I can see the long con. I got you. I'm clocking the NFL.
I have zero interest in any flag football, whether it's males or females playing. I think it's contrived. I think it's just a gimmick. I don't have any interest in it. I don't think it's going to do well, even if they do it. I don't think it will do markedly less in terms of revenue and publicity and all this stuff than like the UFL or the XFL did, which is constantly. I mean, it almost seems like they're trying to sort of WNBA football with flag football to a certain extent. Like creating a new league that's subsidized by the main league and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't see a Caitlin Clark coming through the NFL flag football league anytime soon. That's going to really drive any sort of eyes to that league and make it an enjoyable product. So I think it's going to fail. I hope it never starts up. It will. They'll do it in the Olympics, and it'll be fine there. And it'll just be one of these short-lived things, like the XFL was the first time. And it'll go.
Do you want to see flag football be like breakdancing at the Olympics
and fail horribly, so we never have to see it again? Yes.
Yeah, that's
because like also the American team, even if it's just a bunch of like Division II college kids that are playing for
everybody else,
they're going to blow everybody out of the water.
I do love the fact that it was like it's Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson, and then you have the flag football players like they don't know what to do, and you're like, you mean the best athletes, like some of the best athletes in the world, are not going to be able to go up and just catch every single pass 3 feet over where anybody else is jumping?
And guys who played 7-on-7 their entire lives.
Yes, like you don't think.
Yeah,
I think maybe these guys would be pretty good at it. You're like, well, you got to run around. You're like, no, all they got to do is throw the ball in the air.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of the French national team in men's basketball for the Olympics. Are like we grew up together. We play on the same teams in the summer every year, and you know we have this genuine connection with each other, and that's something that the Americans just will never have. And then Kevin Durant comes back and says, yeah, but y'all got to guard Steph. It's like, that's kind of the same thing with the flag football league. It's like, yeah, but you got to guard Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson and Christian McCaffrey and Saquon like all these guys who might play. Like Christian McCaffrey probably won't, but you get the point. It's like
Yeah.
They're just better than everybody else. That's it.
Yeah. No, and it's when you're like, I can't imagine there's a lot of like 6'3" high vertical players playing flag football. Now, maybe that'll be the plan. That'd be great if there was just like a country who just showed up and they were all just like 6'9" guys. And they're like, we just throw it over everybody's head. And then we don't mind if we get tackled. But you can never keep us out of the end zone. We just always do it high. And there's nothing you guys could do about it. We're all 7-footers out there just playing and just jumping up and catch the ball. It doesn't matter. And you can't really hurt us because you're not tackling us. So all we have to do is slowly jog down the field. Guy lofted up. We'll catch every ball without jumping. So you're trying to get up to us. And our wingspan's, 9 feet above the ground. And we'll just do that the entire game. That would be great if like Germany or somebody did that. Just really ruin the game for everybody.
Yeah. I mean, there's not going to be a team like that. So that would be hilarious, but there's just, it's the Americans are just going to run roughshod over everybody. Yes. And it's going to be a blowout like the 92 Olympics in basketball.
I understand I'm trying to create a team of monstars for flag football, but we won't be doing that. Matt, let's take our second break here. We'll come back, get to our meathead of the day, and wrap it up here before we send Matt off to a nice vacation for the next few days here on Open Gym here on Texas Sports Unfiltered.
At Sleep Cycle Center, we can treat your sleep apnea in various ways. My story starts 15 years ago with the loss of my father to undiagnosed untreated sleep apnea. And this is a very preventable disease, and treatment options are various. Millions of people across America have sleep apnea, and they fail to realize the early warning signs. Fatigue, daytime sleepiness, and snoring are the most common signs. We'll find the best solution using advanced technology, oral and epigenetic appliances, or CPAP. We offer weight loss, oral surgery, and laser treatments. Schedule your appointment today and get your sleep evaluation.
If you're looking to remodel a kitchen, renovate your bathroom, or maybe add some new life to your outdoor space, reach out to our friends at McCall Custom Homes. They are custom home builders and renovators here in Central Texas, and they've been doing it in Central Texas for more than 40 years. It's a father-son team with a ton of experience, and all of that experience is here in the Austin area. So they know what it takes to turn an Austin area home into something truly, truly special. Right now, our friends at McCall Custom Homes are offering free estimates to TSU listeners so they can come out to your place, hear your vision, they can tell you what they can do, and then you can go from there. Don't just take my word for it. Check out their website, McCallCustomHomesATX.com. Look at the gallery of jobs they've done over the last 4 decades. And then when you're ready, again, reach out to them and they will come to you. McCallCustomHomesATX.com, or you can call or text Mike McCall directly at 512-633-9580. It's McCall Custom Homes. We build value into your home.
Hi, everyone. This is Tom McKay, owner of Audiovisual Consultations. We've been serving and assisting customers in the Texas area
I think I got this by now, old man. This is Camilla McKay, Audiovisual's social media and website manager. Our company has been helping you sit back and relax for the last 37 years. We come to you, and we're the kind of workers you want in your home. We give you all the advice at a great price, and we do a lot more than just audiovisual systems. We have employees capable of performing services like electrical contracting, heated floors, motorized shades. Am I forgetting anything, old man?
Yeah, we do surveillance systems, controlled lighting systems, and landscape lighting, computer networks, multi-room audio systems, and of course, we install some really cool theaters.
I had a feeling you were going to say that last one.
Now, am I forgetting anything?
Only this. Remember to hug your kids, laugh with strangers, and make love to whoever the hell you want.
So give us a call at 512-255-8678.
Or visit us online at avconsultations.com.
That's 512-255-8678.
Back here on Open Gym, wrapping it up on a Wednesday afternoon. My man Matt Galatzan here before he takes off and gets some sun down at the beach. I hope it'll be sunnier than it is in Austin right now, getting a little bit of rain, a little bit of dark clouds. So hopefully you get better than that. Chan on the text line, no vacation for me, Pete. No vacation for me. I will still be here, but I'll be able to here holding down the fort with some other guests here on Open Gym. But Matt, are you ready? Have you got the? Are you already packed, or do you got to pack after this?
Well, I was just out of town for almost a week in Dallas and in Austin, so I've got a little laundry to do and a little packing to do, but I'll get it done before my flight tomorrow. I'm not too worried about it.
I hate that last minute. I hate that world of like where it's gonna be fun, but you have so many chores to do before you go. It's like, it's just the person, the ADHD kid in me is just like, I just want to procrastinate until I go. And I know it'll screw everything up if I do, but I really don't want to do anything. I'm just going to leave. I'm going to leave this stuff in the dryer for another 20 minutes. That's all. 20 more minutes. Let's get into our meathead of the day. How about this one? Shamar Stewart getting his first meathead of the day at practice today, starting an all-out brawl.
Number 97, Shamar Stewart, rushing from the left side of your screen. The circle is around him. He shoots the A gap, which is wide open, but you see he stumbles a little bit, may have received a shove, ends up in Joe Burrow's face. Now the video follows the ball, but quarterback Joe Burrow ended up on the ground. Watch the reaction from linebacker number 44, Demetrius Knight Jr. Hands to the head, obvious concern. Joe Burrow got up, he was okay, but just a few plays later, a fight broke out between the offense and defense.
So they are now blaming Shamar Stewart for hitting the quarterback, getting tensions up through the roof, and then a all-out brawl happening at Cincinnati Bengals practice between all of the players, everybody getting into a scrum and trying to divide it up. Do you put this on Shamar Stewart, or is this just camp going where Joe Burrow maybe talks a little trash afterwards?
I think it's a little bit of both. I mean, I think this is a rookie that, is just trying to make a play and put it all on the line there, but he needs to know that the guy in the red jersey is untouchable. And if you get through your gap that quickly and you see the best quarterback in the NFL, arguably with Joe Burrow standing in front of you, and he's the key to your success for the entire season, you may want to stop.
Yeah, jump out of the way. Do whatever you can not to touch him.
Just go the other direction. You beat your man. You're fine. You don't need to necessarily finish the play. Look, I understand the reaction too. I mean, I would probably do the same thing if I was an offensive player on this football team. Is like, do you realize what you could have just done? If you had been like a few inches lower or a few inches to the left, you could have ended our entire season, you dumbass. So it's a little bit of give and take, but I at the end of the day, for me, it's just a rookie making a mistake, and he'll learn from it.
And then one more for you here. This is something crazy I saw today of, I think John Boy put this out, who has a lot of good baseball clips. Batter was going up to bat, was going to ask for time from the umpire. You're told not to step out of the box until the umpire gives you time. He starts to step out when he asks for time. The umpire doesn't give it to him. And we get to see this play.
Wolko swings on a half hard. It's a fair ball. Wolko's going to try to beat out the play at first. He's safe at first, and Sprinkle comes in a score.
That is not how you want to give up a hit. We'll show that again. Steps out, and he just swings at it with one hand.
It's a fair ball. Wolko's
and is able to put the ball out in the outfield and get an RBI
comes in a score
off of stepping out of the box. We go back to that freeze frame. Look at this. He just one-handed. Why not? Just a swing of the, just a left-handed swing, put it in the outfield. And it feels like, this other team was not ready for it. And so maybe they were like, oh, he got time then. Like, no, that's a live ball in the field. That's a really annoying RBI on your record if you're a pitcher.
Oh yeah, I'd be furious if I was that pitcher. But at the same time, the umpires should probably give him some time to, he should probably grant it, call it off, whatever. But he didn't, so it resulted in a ridiculous play. But this is just another reason that I hate baseball. There's just so many stupid rules and stupid things that happen. I'll never understand it.
No, but see, you got to remember. So the reason you don't get time now all the time is because of the pitcher clock and the batter clock, and so they don't want to give you time because it's all timed up, and you're trying to screw with each other, and they're trying to get rid of all of that in baseball. They're trying to be like, stop doing this to each other, so we can get rid of it in baseball. But it still happens. People still do it. But I get it. I still love baseball. I wish the Astros were doing better. They gave up their lead.
I don't even know what the Rangers are doing. So
yeah, the Astros and Mariners now tied. Josh Hader just went on the injured list. Not good. He hit it with 1 foot outside of the batter's box, I believe. It's 1 foot going out and hitting it. Roy, I don't know if that's a rule that you're not allowed to do that either. I don't know the rule book well enough for baseball. But we got to get out of here. I'll be back tomorrow with some special guests. Matt will be on vacation having a good time soaking up the sun. enjoying his time. I'm going to cough a bunch more once we get off air. But we'll try and get off here before we do that. Until tomorrow, be kind, be safe, keep your underwear clean, and we'll see you right back here tomorrow for more from Open Gym.